There comes a point in life when you begin to feel a subtle shift inside, a quiet voice that asks, "What am I really doing all of this for?" You might have spent years chasing goals, working hard, making sacrifices, and trying to fit into roles that seemed important. You may have done your best to meet everyone's expectations, your family, friends, colleagues, even society. And yet, despite it all, you still feel a gap between who you are and who you're expected to be. That gap, if left unattended, slowly eats away at your peace of mind and holds you back from feeling truly free. What if you could stop that from happening? What if, instead of constantly worrying about how others see you, you could finally be at ease in your own skin? Deep down, we all long for that kind of freedom. The kind that allows you to wake up every morning and feel that your life is entirely yours. Not borrowed from someone else's expectations, not lived through the lens of others' opinions, but fully, unapologetically yours. This journey toward true freedom doesn't start with material wealth or external success. No amount of money, fame, or social approval can fill the emptiness that comes from living a life dictated by others. Freedom begins within. It's an inner transformation, a shift in perspective that allows you to step away from the constant need for validation and approval. It's about letting go of the invisible chains that have been controlling your choices, thoughts, and actions for far too long. We live in a world where we're often told what to value, what to prioritize, and how to live. Social media, culture, family, and friends all play a part in shaping our decisions, sometimes without us even realizing it. It's so easy to get caught up in doing things just because they're expected, not because they feel right to us. Think of how many times you've done something or said yes to something simply because you felt obligated. How many times have you gone along with what someone else wanted, even when it clashed with your own desires? At first, these small compromises might seem harmless, but over time, they pile up. You begin to notice that your life doesn't quite feel like your own anymore. You find yourself working jobs, maintaining relationships, and living routines that don't resonate with who you truly are. It's like wearing a mask, day in and day out, pretending to be someone you're not to fit the mold others have created for you. This book isn't about abandoning your responsibilities or disregarding the people who matter in your life. Instead, it's about learning to live in a way that honors your true self while still navigating the world around you. It's about understanding that while you can't control how others see you or what they expect from you, you have full control over your own actions and how you respond to the pressures around you. For many, the concept of living for themselves feels selfish or even wrong. After all, we've been taught to prioritize others, to seek approval, and to please those around us. We've been conditioned to believe that living for others is the key to acceptance and belonging. But here's the truth. When you live for others at the expense of yourself, you end up losing both. You lose touch with your own desires, your own peace, and eventually, your own happiness. The very approval you've been seeking never truly satisfies because it's built on a false foundation. Imagine how life would be different if you could break free from that. Not because someone told you to, but because you finally realized that living for others has left you feeling empty. You don't need to fight or argue or justify your decisions anymore. You simply need to reclaim your right to live authentically, on your own terms. The freedom you're seeking doesn't come from escaping the world. It comes from navigating it with a clear sense of who you are and what truly matters to you. This path isn't easy. Letting go of deeply ingrained habits and beliefs can be uncomfortable, even painful. There will be moments when you're tempted to slip back into old patterns of people-pleasing, seeking validation, or fearing disapproval. But each time you resist the urge to give in to those external pressures, you take a step closer to reclaiming your freedom. It's important to remember that this kind of freedom is not about isolating yourself or shutting out the world. It's not about becoming cold or indifferent to others. True freedom is about living with integrity, where your thoughts, words, and actions are aligned with your inner values, not dictated by external expectations. It's about reaching a place where you no longer need to justify your choices to anyone but yourself. It's about being able to walk through life with a quiet confidence, knowing that your worth isn't defined by how others perceive you, but by how true you are to yourself. As you dive into the principles shared in this book, you'll start to see that freedom isn't something to be earned or granted by others. It's something you already possess, deep within. The problem is, over time, it becomes buried under layers of conditioning, fear, and doubt. Each chapter in this book is designed to help you peel back those layers, one by one, so you can reconnect with that sense of personal freedom that's always been yours. When you stop living for others, you unlock a deeper sense of peace. Decisions become easier because they're based on what aligns with your true self, not what's expected of you. Relationships become more meaningful because they're built on mutual respect and authenticity, rather than obligation or fear. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to feel lighter, free from the burden of constantly trying to measure up to standards that were never really yours to begin with. This process isn't about becoming perfect or detached from the world. It's about becoming free from the internal pressures that make you feel like you have to be someone you're not. It's about letting go of the need to explain yourself, to prove yourself, to seek justice in a world that isn't always fair, and to constantly chase approval through good deeds. It's about learning to be comfortable in your own skin, even if that means others might not always understand you. Through Stoic principles, you will discover that true freedom isn't about controlling the outside world, but mastering your inner world. It's about releasing the need for external validation and finding contentment in the knowledge that you are enough, just as you are. The wisdom of Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot control what happens around us, we have full control over how we respond. And in that response lies our freedom. This book is your guide to reclaiming that freedom. It's a call to step away from the pressures that have been weighing you down and step into a life where you are no longer bound by the expectations of others. It's about freeing yourself from the need to constantly explain or justify who you are and what you do. It's about releasing the fear of being misunderstood and finding peace in the knowledge that you are living true to yourself. As you move forward, keep in mind that true freedom is not something that others will hand to you. It's something you must choose for yourself every day, in every decision. And once you do, you will find that the life you've been longing for, the life that feels genuinely yours, has been within reach all along. All you needed was the courage to stop living for others and start living for yourself. The journey begins now. After laying the foundation of what it truly means to live freely, you now stand at the edge of a transformation that will reshape how you navigate life. The first step toward reclaiming your freedom is to break away from the habit of explaining yourself. It seems harmless at first, maybe even necessary, but constantly feeling the need to justify your actions to others is an invisible chain that binds you. When you're always defending your decisions, your energy drains, and your peace of mind weakens. This habit doesn't just rob you of your time, it robs you of your confidence. So, how do you free yourself from it? When you no longer feel the need to explain your choices to others, you begin to understand the essence of inner strength. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. The urge to justify is often deeply ingrained. We explain ourselves because we fear judgment, misunderstanding, or rejection. However, constantly seeking others' approval chips away at your autonomy. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, understood this deeply. He believed that the opinions of others were out of our control and therefore irrelevant to how we live our lives. Acting in alignment with your own principles without the need for external validation is the path to freedom. Your actions, when rooted in your values, don't need to be explained. They speak for themselves. But society, family, and friends often push you to justify why you've made certain decisions, as if their understanding should shape your path. The truth is, it's not their understanding that matters, but your conviction. When you act based on what feels right for you, that decision carries a quiet strength. It's not loud or boastful, but it doesn't need to be. The act of explaining can dilute this strength, making you feel unsure, even when you know you're doing what's best for you. Living without the need to explain yourself doesn't mean you disregard others or their feelings. Instead, it means that you no longer let their opinions dictate your life. It's a shift from seeking approval to knowing within that you've made the right choice. People may question or criticize, but their responses are reflections of their own fears or misunderstandings, not an indication of your worth. When you break free from needing to explain yourself, you begin to trust your inner compass more deeply. Letting go of explanations allows for personal growth in ways you might not expect. Suddenly, you are no longer burdened by the fear of judgment. You move through life more freely, making decisions that align with who you truly are. You start to understand that it's not your job to ensure everyone understands your path. Your job is to stay true to it. This doesn't mean you become indifferent to others, but that you prioritize your own sense of direction over the need to gain approval. This freedom from justification invites clarity. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop second-guessing your decisions. You learn to stand by them with confidence, whether others approve or not. That kind of conviction is magnetic. People will notice your strength, even if they don't understand your choices. And those who truly respect you won't demand explanations. They will support you for being true to yourself. As you grow in this practice, you begin to notice how often others around you feel trapped in the need to explain. You'll see it in their nervous laughter, their long-winded justifications for choices they were never meant to justify. You'll recognize this in conversations where people are subtly asking for permission or validation from those around them. And yet, when you no longer feel the need to explain, you'll observe how much lighter your conversations become. Instead of defending your decisions, you'll discuss them with a sense of peace and finality. This strength doesn't come from arrogance, but from a deep understanding that your life belongs to you. Explaining yourself often comes from a place of insecurity. You hope that by giving others the reasoning behind your actions, they will approve and give you permission to proceed. But the truth is, waiting for others to grant you permission is the quickest way to stay stuck. You don't need their approval to live your life fully. What you need is the courage to own your choices without explanation. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. At first, there might be a pull to explain yourself, especially in moments of vulnerability or when those close to you demand answers. But over time, you'll notice that letting go of this habit brings a sense of relief. The weight of others' expectations begins to lift, and you find yourself standing more firmly on your own 2 feet. Not explaining yourself is also an act of self-respect. It shows that you honor your own journey enough to keep it sacred. Sharing every detail or explaining your thought process is often a way of giving others too much power over your decisions. When you refrain from doing this, you maintain control over your life. You're not hiding anything. You're simply recognizing that not everything needs to be justified. This practice cultivates a deeper level of self-awareness. By focusing on your own values and principles, you become more attuned to what truly matters to you. This clarity strengthens your resolve and makes it easier to let go of the need for external approval. You begin to see that the opinions of others are fleeting, but your inner peace is lasting. Another benefit of no longer explaining yourself is that you save energy. Think of how much time and emotional effort goes into justifying every little decision. By cutting that out, you free up mental space for more meaningful pursuits. You start using your energy to grow, to create, and to live authentically, rather than wasting it on unnecessary explanations. You'll also notice that people begin to respect you more. When you no longer feel the need to justify every action, you project confidence. And confidence without arrogance is something others are drawn to. They may not always agree with your decisions, but they will respect your ability to make them without needing their approval. This mindset shift can transform your relationships. When you no longer seek constant validation, you show up as a more grounded and secure version of yourself. This creates healthier dynamics because you're not leaning on others to approve of your life. Instead, you approach relationships from a place of mutual respect, where each person's individuality is honored. Living without the need to explain yourself also frees you from the endless cycle of overthinking. When you're constantly justifying your actions, you tend to overanalyze everything. You question whether your choices will be accepted or whether you'll face criticism. But when you let go of that, you start making decisions more quickly and with greater confidence. Over time, this becomes second nature, and you realize how much simpler life can be when you're not constantly overthinking. This shift doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, but with each small step, you'll feel the benefits. You'll become more comfortable with silence, with letting your actions speak for themselves. You'll grow in the understanding that those who truly matter in your life will support you, not because you've explained everything to them, but because they trust you to know what's best for yourself. The practice of detaching from the need to explain yourself also teaches you patience. There will be moments when people demand explanations, when they push for answers. In those times, it can be tempting to fall back into old habits of justifying. But holding your ground, even when it's difficult, is an act of strength. Over time, people will learn that your decisions don't require explanations, and they'll begin to respect that boundary. The freedom you gain from this practice is immeasurable. You'll find that life becomes more peaceful, more aligned with your true self. You'll start to trust your instincts more, knowing that you don't need anyone's approval to move forward. This self-trust is the foundation of true freedom, and it's a gift that only you can give yourself. By letting go of the need to explain yourself, you also develop resilience. You become less affected by others' opinions or judgments because you no longer rely on them for validation. You stand firm in your choices, knowing that they come from a place of integrity and self-awareness. This kind of freedom doesn't mean you shut people out or stop communicating with them. It means that your communication comes from a place of confidence, not insecurity. You share what's necessary, but you no longer feel compelled to defend your every move. This creates space for deeper, more meaningful conversations because you're no longer bogged down by the need to explain. As you grow in this practice, you'll notice that you become more focused on what truly matters. Without the distraction of constantly justifying yourself, you have more time and energy to pursue your passions, to build the life you want, and to live in alignment with your values. You begin to see that the freedom you've been seeking has always been within you, waiting to be unlocked. This shift in perspective also helps you build stronger boundaries. You start to recognize when people are trying to pull you into their expectations or opinions. And instead of getting caught up in it, you calmly hold your ground, knowing that your life is yours to live. These boundaries are not walls to keep others out, but are lines of respect that remind others, and yourself, that your choices don't require their approval. By no longer explaining yourself, you become more attuned to your own inner wisdom. You start to trust yourself more deeply, knowing that you have the strength and clarity to make decisions without needing to justify them to others. This is the essence of true freedom, living in a way that honors your authentic self without the constant need for validation. As you continue on this journey, you'll find that each step toward freedom brings you closer to a life of peace, purpose, and self-respect. You'll start to realize that living for yourself without the need to explain is the ultimate form of freedom. And in that freedom, you'll discover a deep sense of fulfillment, one that cannot be taken away by the opinions or judgments of others. After letting go of the need to explain yourself, you've unlocked a powerful sense of inner freedom. Now, the journey continues as you confront another profound truth. The world is inherently unjust, and seeking fairness in every corner of life will only leave you exhausted and disillusioned. Holding on to the belief that justice is always owed to you keeps you trapped in a cycle of frustration, constantly expecting the world or others to make things right. The more you chase this elusive idea of fairness, the more bitter and powerless you become. The real freedom lies in accepting the world as it is, flawed, unpredictable, and often unfair, and learning how to navigate it with strength, wisdom, and grace. The human instinct to seek justice is deep-rooted. From an early age, we are taught that wrongdoers should be punished and that fairness should prevail. But as we grow older, it becomes painfully clear that life doesn't always work that way. There are countless examples of people who lie, cheat, and manipulate their way to success, while honest, hard-working individuals seem to suffer. When you place too much energy on trying to right these wrongs, you find yourself caught in a whirlwind of disappointment. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus understood this all too well. He taught that external events, including injustices, are out of your control. To truly find peace, you must focus on your own moral compass, not the shifting, often unfair circumstances of the world around you. When you stop seeking justice from others, you begin to see that the only justice that matters is the one you carry within yourself. This shift in perspective allows you to move through life with a sense of calm, no longer wasting energy trying to make sense of the unfairness around you. Accepting that life isn't always just frees you from the emotional turmoil that comes with feeling wronged. You stop expecting others to right their wrongs, and you stop demanding the world to give you what you feel you deserve. This doesn't mean that you accept injustice passively. It means that you no longer allow it to consume your inner peace. One of the key lessons from Stoicism is understanding what is in your control and what isn't. Justice, in its purest form, often falls outside of your control. You cannot control how others behave, how they treat you, or how the world distributes rewards and punishments. What you can control is your response to these injustices. Instead of burning with frustration when someone wrongs you, you have the power to let it go, knowing that their actions reflect on them, not on you. By focusing on maintaining your integrity, no matter what happens around you, you rise above the unfairness of the world. When you stop seeking justice from others, you also stop wasting time on revenge. The desire for revenge is often born from a sense of wanting to correct a wrong, but revenge doesn't bring the closure or satisfaction you seek. It only ties you further to the very injustice that hurt you in the first place. By releasing the need for vengeance, you reclaim your energy and focus. You begin to understand that true strength lies in moving forward, not in evening the score. This approach not only protects your peace of mind, but also ensures that your actions are governed by reason and virtue, not by anger or resentment. Letting go of the need to seek justice from the world also teaches you to be more resilient. The Stoics believed that life is full of challenges, many of which are unfair. But rather than being weighed down by these challenges, they saw them as opportunities for growth. When faced with injustice, you can choose to view it as a test of your character. How you respond to it shapes who you are. Will you allow it to make you bitter, or will you use it as a way to strengthen your resolve and deepen your understanding of life? The choice is always yours. The world doesn't owe you fairness, and that's a hard truth to accept. But once you do, you'll notice a shift in how you approach difficulties. No longer consumed by the need to correct every wrong, you begin to focus on what really matters: your own actions, your own growth. This is where your true power lies. You stop giving your energy to external forces that you cannot control and instead focus inward, cultivating the strength and resilience to face whatever comes your way without being shaken by its unfairness. This inner shift doesn't mean you ignore injustice or become indifferent to the suffering of others. Instead, it means that you approach these situations with a clear mind and an open heart, unburdened by the need for immediate fairness. You understand that some things are simply beyond your control, and this frees you from the constant frustration of trying to fix what cannot be fixed. When you release this need, you become more compassionate, more patient, and more effective in the ways you choose to address injustice. Living without the need to seek justice from others allows you to remain focused on your own principles. When you act in accordance with your values, you find that the need for external validation or fairness diminishes. You are no longer reliant on others to confirm your sense of right and wrong. Your inner compass becomes your guide, and that inner sense of justice is what keeps you grounded, regardless of how others behave. This self-reliance is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy and a key to living freely in an unjust world. As you practice accepting the unfairness of life, you begin to see that many of the things that once frustrated you lose their power over you. Someone cuts you off in traffic, where you once might have felt a surge of anger. You now feel a sense of calm. You understand that the world is filled with people who will act selfishly, but their actions don't have to dictate your response. You are free to choose how you feel and how you act, regardless of the external circumstances. When you stop seeking justice from others, you also begin to develop a deeper understanding of human nature. You see that people act out of their own fears, desires, and insecurities. Their actions are often less about you and more about their own internal struggles. By understanding this, you free yourself from taking things personally. You stop feeling the need to correct them or make them see their mistakes, because you realize that their behavior is a reflection of their inner world, not yours. This realization can be incredibly freeing. It allows you to navigate difficult situations with more grace and understanding. Instead of becoming reactive and trying to fix every injustice you encounter, you begin to approach life with a sense of acceptance. This acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means that you are no longer consumed by the desire to make things fair. You understand that fairness is not always achievable, and that's okay. What matters is how you carry yourself in the face of injustice. As you embrace this mindset, you become less attached to outcomes. You no longer place your happiness or peace of mind on the expectation that things will turn out fairly. Instead, you find contentment in knowing that you've acted in alignment with your values, regardless of the outcome. This shift in perspective allows you to maintain your inner calm, even when the world around you feels chaotic and unfair. The Stoics often spoke of the importance of focusing on what you can control. When you stop seeking justice in a world that's inherently unjust, you begin to see how much time and energy you've wasted on things beyond your control. By letting go of this need, you open yourself up to a new way of living, one that is centered on your own actions and values, rather than on the external circumstances that surround you. This approach to life doesn't mean you accept wrongdoing or turn a blind eye to injustice. It means that you no longer allow it to dictate your emotions or your sense of self-worth. You begin to understand that true justice is not about making others behave in a certain way, but about staying true to your own principles, no matter what happens around you. This inner strength allows you to remain calm and composed, even in the face of unfairness. When you let go of the need for justice from the world, you also become more adaptable. Life is unpredictable, and things don't always go as planned. But when you stop expecting fairness, you become more flexible in how you handle life's challenges. You're no longer thrown off course when things don't go your way. Instead, you adapt, adjust, and move forward with a sense of calm and purpose. This adaptability is a key component of resilience. The more you accept that life is not always fair, the more resilient you become in the face of adversity. You stop fighting against the reality of the world and learn to flow with it. This doesn't mean giving up or resigning yourself to a life of injustice. It means that you approach life with a sense of clarity and focus, knowing that your power lies in how you respond, not in how the world treats you. By accepting the inherent unfairness of the world, you also develop a deeper sense of gratitude. When you stop expecting the world to be fair, you begin to appreciate the moments of goodness that come your way. Instead of taking fairness for granted, you see it as a gift, something to be cherished when it does happen. This shift in perspective allows you to cultivate a deeper sense of appreciation for the good in your life, rather than focusing on the unfairness. This practice also teaches you patience. When you stop seeking immediate justice, you learn to be patient with the process of life. You understand that things don't always happen on your timeline, and that's okay. By letting go of the need for instant fairness, you develop a sense of patience that allows you to navigate life's challenges with more grace and understanding. Living without the need to seek justice from others also allows you to be more forgiving. When you stop expecting people to always do the right thing, you become more compassionate toward their mistakes. You begin to see that people are flawed, just as you are, and that holding on to grudges or resentment only harms you. By letting go of the need for others to make things right, you free yourself from the burden of carrying anger or resentment. This forgiveness doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior. It means that you no longer allow it to have power over you. You choose to release the need for justice and instead focus on your own peace of mind. This act of forgiveness is not for the benefit of others. It's for your own freedom. It allows you to move forward without being weighed down by the past. As you continue to embrace this mindset, you'll notice that you become more focused on your own growth and development. When you stop seeking justice from others, you stop comparing yourself to them. You no longer measure your success or happiness by how others are treated or what they receive. Instead, you focus on your own path, knowing that the only person you need to satisfy is yourself. This focus on personal growth allows you to live more authentically. You stop trying to conform to the expectations of others or the standards of the world. Instead, you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, guided by your own values and principles. This is where true freedom lies, in living a life that is true to who you are, regardless of how the world treats you. By accepting the unfairness of life, you also become more peaceful. You no longer feel the constant need to fight against the world or demand that it treat you fairly. Instead, you find peace in knowing that you are in control of your own actions and responses. This inner peace allows you to move through life with a sense of calm and confidence, knowing that you are not bound by the injustices around you. As you continue on this journey, you will discover that true freedom comes not from seeking justice in an unjust world, but from living in alignment with your own values. You no longer rely on others to make things right or to give you what you feel you deserve. Instead, you find fulfillment in knowing that you are living a life that is true to yourself. And in that truth, you find the freedom you've been seeking all along. When you are constantly trying to make others understand your thoughts or motivations, you surrender a part of yourself. You begin to base your actions on how others perceive you, rather than on your own values. The fear of being misunderstood keeps you stuck in a cycle where you over-explain, justify, and mold yourself into something you are not, just to avoid the discomfort of others not getting you. But the freedom you are seeking doesn't come from others finally understanding who you are. It comes from within, from a deep acceptance that not everyone will or needs to see your truth. The Stoics taught that self-sufficiency is the path to inner peace. When you are grounded in your own values and trust your own judgment, you stop relying on others to validate or comprehend your intentions. The need for others to understand you comes from a place of insecurity. You want reassurance that you're doing the right thing, that your actions make sense to the people around you. But the only person who truly needs to understand your choices is you. Others may misunderstand your intentions, but that's their perception to deal with, not yours. Releasing the fear of being misunderstood allows you to live more freely and authentically. No longer burdened by the constant need to explain or clarify, you are able to focus your energy on living in alignment with your own principles. You become less concerned with how others interpret your actions and more attuned to your own sense of purpose. This shift allows you to act with clarity and conviction, knowing that your choices are rooted in your values, not in the desire for external validation. This practice also helps you develop emotional resilience. When you stop fearing being misunderstood, you become less reactive to others' opinions or judgments. Instead of feeling frustrated or defensive when someone misinterprets your words or actions, you remain calm, understanding that their perception doesn't define your reality. You gain the ability to let others' misunderstandings roll off your back, unbothered by their lack of clarity. This emotional detachment is not about being indifferent, but about preserving your peace in the face of other people's misconceptions. By releasing the fear of being misunderstood, you also cultivate stronger boundaries. You no longer feel the need to over-explain yourself to others in an attempt to make them get you. Instead, you respect your own space and allow others to form their opinions without letting it affect your sense of self. This boundary protects you from being overly influenced by the outside world. You no longer waste time and energy trying to correct every misinterpretation or convince people of your intentions. When you let go of the need to be understood by others, your communication becomes clearer and more purposeful. You speak from a place of authenticity, without the pressure of making sure every word lands perfectly with those around you. You share what you need to share, knowing that not everyone will grasp your full meaning, and that's okay. You trust that those who truly value and respect you will make the effort to understand, while others may not, and you no longer depend on their understanding for your own peace of mind. Living without the fear of being misunderstood also allows you to be more comfortable in your own skin. You stop worrying about how your actions or words will be perceived and start focusing on living in a way that feels true to you. This self-assurance is incredibly liberating because it frees you from the constant anxiety of wondering what others think. You learn to value your own opinion above that of others, knowing that your worth is not tied to how well people grasp your intentions. This shift in mindset also helps you become more comfortable with silence. Often, the fear of being misunderstood leads to a need to fill every gap in conversation with explanations or clarifications. But when you release that fear, you become more at ease with letting things go unsaid. You no longer feel the need to constantly explain yourself or justify your actions to others. You learn that silence can be powerful, and sometimes the most meaningful understanding comes not from words, but from actions. As you grow more comfortable with being misunderstood, you'll notice that your relationships begin to shift as well. When you no longer demand that others fully understand you, you allow space for more genuine connections. You stop expecting people to read your mind or grasp every nuance of your intentions. This opens the door for more honest and open communication, where both parties can be themselves without the pressure of perfect understanding. In many ways, letting go of the fear of being misunderstood helps you cultivate a sense of humility. You begin to recognize that not everything you do or say needs to be understood by others. This humility allows you to move through life with less ego, less concern about how you're perceived, and more focus on simply being who you are. It's a quiet confidence that comes from knowing that your truth doesn't need to be fully grasped by everyone for it to be valid. This process also allows you to embrace the reality that misunderstandings are a natural part of human interaction. No matter how clearly you communicate, there will always be moments where people misinterpret your words or actions. By accepting this reality, you release yourself from the constant need to correct others or explain yourself. Instead, you focus on what truly matters, living a life that is true to your values, regardless of how others perceive it. Living without the fear of being misunderstood also allows you to take more risks. When you stop worrying about how others will interpret your actions, you free yourself to try new things, speak more openly, and step outside your comfort zone. You no longer hold back out of fear that people won't understand your motivations. This sense of freedom allows you to live more fully and authentically without being constrained by the opinions of others. In turn, this mindset helps you build greater resilience in the face of criticism. When you release the need to be understood, you also release the sting of criticism. You understand that others' judgments are often based on their limited understanding of your intentions, and that's okay. You no longer take criticism personally because you know that not everyone will see the full picture. This allows you to remain calm and composed, even in the face of misunderstanding or disapproval. By embracing the freedom of being misunderstood, you also become more open to other people's perspectives. You stop expecting them to fully grasp your intentions, and in doing so, you become more empathetic toward their views. You realize that just as they may not fully understand you, you may not fully understand them, and that's okay. This openness allows for deeper connections where differences are respected rather than feared. This practice also helps you develop a deeper sense of self-acceptance. When you stop fearing that others won't understand you, you begin to trust yourself more. You no longer need external validation to feel confident in your decisions. This self-trust is a powerful foundation for living a life that is true to your own values, rather than being shaped by the expectations or misunderstandings of others. Releasing the fear of being misunderstood also allows you to focus more on your own growth. Instead of being preoccupied with how others see you, you begin to invest your energy in becoming the best version of yourself. You stop wasting time trying to manage others' perceptions and start focusing on your own journey of self-improvement. This shift in focus allows you to grow more rapidly and authentically without being held back by the fear of how others will interpret your progress. When you let go of the need to be understood, you also become more comfortable with uncertainty. You stop feeling the need to have everything neatly explained or categorized. This openness to uncertainty allows you to embrace life's complexities without the constant need to make sense of them for others. You begin to trust the process, knowing that not everything needs to be fully understood in order to be meaningful. This approach also allows you to be more present in the moment. When you stop worrying about how others perceive you, you become more focused on what is happening right now, rather than on how your actions will be interpreted. This presence allows you to experience life more fully, without the distractions of overthinking or over-explaining. By embracing the possibility of being misunderstood, you also become more creative. You stop holding back your ideas or expressions out of fear that others won't get them. This freedom allows you to explore new possibilities, try new things, and express yourself more authentically. You no longer feel the need to conform to others' expectations or explanations, and this opens the door for greater creativity and self-expression. This mindset shift also helps you develop a deeper sense of inner peace. When you stop needing others to understand you, you find peace in knowing that you are living in alignment with your own values. You no longer feel the pressure to constantly explain or justify yourself, and this allows you to live with a greater sense of calm and contentment. Living without the fear of being misunderstood also helps you build stronger relationships. When you no longer demand that others fully grasp your intentions, you create space for more genuine connections. You allow people to be themselves, just as you allow yourself to be. This openness fosters deeper, more meaningful relationships where both parties can be authentic without the pressure of perfect understanding. As you continue to release the fear of being misunderstood, you'll notice that you become more grounded in your own sense of self. You stop relying on others to validate your decisions, and you start trusting your own judgment more deeply. This self-reliance allows you to move through life with greater confidence, knowing that your actions are aligned with your own values, rather than being shaped by the opinions or misunderstandings of others. This shift in perspective also helps you become more resilient in the face of challenges. When you stop fearing being misunderstood, you become less affected by external events or opinions. You develop a sense of inner strength that allows you to navigate difficulties with grace and composure. This resilience is not about ignoring others' perspectives, but about maintaining your own sense of self, regardless of how others perceive you. By letting go of the need to be understood, you also become more focused on your own purpose. You stop seeking external validation and start living in alignment with your own values and goals. This sense of purpose allows you to move through life with a greater sense of direction, knowing that you are living for yourself, not for the approval or understanding of others. In the end, releasing the fear of being misunderstood is about finding freedom within yourself. It's about trusting your own path, knowing that not everyone will understand it, and that's okay. This freedom allows you to live more authentically, without the constant pressure of needing to explain or justify your actions. And in that authenticity, you find the peace and fulfillment that you've been seeking all along. As you grow more comfortable with the idea that not everyone needs to understand you, you begin to realize another truth. Opposition doesn't always require a loud voice. In fact, some of the most powerful forms of dissent happen in silence. There is a deep strength in quiet resistance, in holding firm to your values without the need to argue or justify your stance. This doesn't mean passivity or weakness, but rather a strategic choice to let your actions speak louder than words. By mastering the art of silent dissent, you find a new level of freedom, one where you remain true to yourself without engaging in unnecessary conflict. The world constantly pushes for reaction. When something doesn't align with your beliefs or values, the natural response is often to argue, defend, or push back. But words, especially when fueled by anger or frustration, can quickly escalate into battles that serve no real purpose. Silence, on the other hand, is a powerful tool. It allows you to resist without confrontation. It communicates that you stand firm in your beliefs, but that you don't need to engage in a futile war of words to prove your point. Silent dissent is not about suppressing your voice or giving up on what you believe in. Instead, it's about choosing your battles wisely. There are moments when speaking up is necessary, but there are also times when silence speaks volumes. When you refuse to engage in an argument that you know will lead nowhere, you are asserting your control over the situation. You are refusing to be drawn into the emotional chaos that often comes with disagreement. This is a form of quiet rebellion, one that preserves your peace without compromising your principles. The art of silent dissent teaches you that not every disagreement requires a response. When someone challenges your beliefs or tries to provoke you, your silence can be a powerful statement. It shows that you are not shaken by their words, that their opinions don't hold enough weight to warrant a reaction. This doesn't mean you are indifferent or that you don't care. It simply means that you value your peace more than the need to win an argument. Silent dissent also allows you to observe and reflect before taking action. Instead of rushing to defend yourself or prove a point, you create space for deeper understanding. In silence, you can better assess the situation and decide whether a response is even necessary. This patience and restraint often lead to more thoughtful and effective actions rather than impulsive reactions driven by emotion. By mastering the art of silent dissent, you also cultivate inner strength. It takes great discipline to hold your tongue when you feel the urge to speak out, especially in the face of criticism or provocation. But in that silence, you reclaim your power. You are no longer controlled by the need to react to others' opinions or behaviors. Instead, you stand firm in your beliefs, knowing that your silence is not weakness, but a deliberate choice to protect your peace. There is a certain dignity in quiet resistance. It shows that you are confident enough in your values that you don't need to defend them constantly. You know who you are and what you stand for, and that knowledge is enough. This confidence allows you to navigate disagreements without feeling the need to prove yourself or convince others of your perspective. Silent dissent can also be a powerful way to challenge authority or systems of power. When you refuse to participate in something you don't believe in, without making a loud protest, you send a clear message of resistance. Your silence becomes a statement in itself, one that is often harder to ignore than words. It forces others to confront the strength of your conviction without the distraction of argument or debate. In a world that often equates volume with power, choosing silence can feel counterintuitive. But the Stoics understood that true strength comes from within, not from how loudly you can assert yourself. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, emphasized the importance of action over words. He believed that living according to your principles, without the need for constant vocal opposition, was the highest form of resistance. When you live in alignment with your values, your actions become the loudest form of dissent. Silent dissent also helps you avoid the trap of getting caught up in other people's drama. Often, disagreements arise not because of genuine differences in beliefs, but because of ego, insecurity, or the need for validation. By choosing not to engage, you protect yourself from being pulled into these unnecessary conflicts. You maintain your focus on what truly matters, rather than wasting energy on battles that have no real significance. This practice also allows you to conserve your emotional and mental energy. Arguing or trying to prove yourself to others can be exhausting, especially when the other person is not open to truly understanding your perspective. By choosing silence, you free yourself from this drain and redirect your energy toward more productive and meaningful pursuits. The art of silent dissent requires a deep sense of self-trust. You must trust that your values are strong enough to stand on their own without the need for constant defense. You must also trust that your silence will not be mistaken for weakness, but will instead be seen as a sign of inner strength and confidence. This trust in yourself allows you to navigate disagreements with grace, without feeling the need to prove anything to anyone. When you practice silent dissent, you also develop a greater sense of emotional control. You learn to respond, rather than react, to situations that challenge your beliefs. This control allows you to remain calm and composed, even in the face of provocation. Instead of being pulled into the emotional turbulence of an argument, you remain centered and grounded, knowing that your silence is a powerful statement in itself. Silent dissent also encourages you to take a long-term view of conflict. In the heat of the moment, it can be tempting to argue and try to win. But often, the real victory comes from staying silent and allowing time to reveal the truth. By not reacting immediately, you give yourself the space to assess the situation more clearly and make decisions that are aligned with your long-term goals, rather than being driven by the emotions of the moment. This practice also helps you develop patience. There will be times when your silence is misunderstood, or when others mistake it for agreement or indifference. But with patience, you understand that your silence is a choice, and that its impact may not be immediately apparent. Over time, people will come to see that your silence was not passive, but a deliberate act of resistance, one that speaks louder than words ever could. By mastering the art of silent dissent, you also become more attuned to the power of listening. In silence, you have the opportunity to truly hear what others are saying without the distraction of formulating your own response. This deep listening allows you to understand the motivations behind others' actions or words and to respond, when necessary, with more clarity and insight. Silent dissent also helps you remain adaptable. In choosing not to engage in every disagreement, you give yourself the flexibility to pick your battles. You are no longer tied to the need to respond to every challenge, and this freedom allows you to focus on what truly matters. You learn to let go of the need for constant validation or agreement, and instead focus on living in alignment with your values. In the end, silent dissent is not about avoiding conflict altogether, but about choosing how and when to engage. It is about recognizing that some battles are not worth fighting, and that sometimes the most powerful way to resist is to say nothing at all. By mastering this art, you gain a new level of freedom, one where you are no longer bound by the need to react to every challenge, but instead remain true to yourself, regardless of the noise around you. As you master the art of silent dissent, a deeper level of inner peace begins to take root. You no longer feel the need to voice your opposition to every disagreement, and this gives you the space to protect your energy and focus on what truly matters. But just as silence in the face of conflict is a powerful tool, understanding how praise can subtly control your actions is equally important. Praise often appears as a reward, a form of validation that feels comforting and affirming. However, the desire for praise can become just as imprisoning as the fear of criticism. If you allow yourself to be guided by the approval of others, you lose the freedom to live according to your own values. Praise is a form of influence that, if left unchecked, can quietly dictate your behavior. At first, it feels good. Compliments make you feel appreciated and valued. But over time, the need for that praise can grow into an addiction. You start adjusting your actions not based on what you believe is right, but on what will earn you more approval. This is where the danger lies. When your decisions are driven by the desire for praise, you surrender your autonomy. You become more concerned with what others think than with staying true to yourself. Seneca, the great Stoic philosopher, recognized that both praise and blame are external forces that hold no real value in the internal life of a person who seeks true freedom. To live in alignment with your principles, you must detach from the lure of praise. While it may feel affirming in the moment, it can subtly lead you away from your authentic self. When you rely on the approval of others to feel good about yourself, you give them control over your emotions and, by extension, your actions. This doesn't mean you should reject all forms of praise or refuse to acknowledge when others appreciate your efforts. But it does mean that you must recognize praise for what it is, an external opinion. It's not a measure of your worth or the ultimate validation of your choices. By viewing praise in this light, you can accept it without becoming dependent on it. You can remain grounded in your own values, regardless of whether others acknowledge or admire what you do. The need for praise can lead to a subtle form of manipulation. When you crave approval, you start behaving in ways that align with what others want to see from you, rather than what feels true to you. This makes it easy for people to influence your actions without you even realizing it. The more you adjust to please others, the further you stray from your true path. To avoid this, it's essential to detach from the need for validation and trust that your value does not depend on others' recognition. By recognizing that praise is just another form of external validation, you begin to see how it can limit your freedom. If your sense of self-worth is tied to the approval of others, you become vulnerable to their opinions. The fear of losing praise can lead to a constant state of anxiety where you feel pressured to maintain a certain image or continue performing in ways that others expect. This is not true freedom. It's a subtle form of control. When you detach from the need for praise, you reclaim your autonomy. You no longer feel the pressure to perform for others or to meet their expectations. Instead, you focus on living in alignment with your own values. This brings a sense of inner peace, as you no longer need external validation to feel good about yourself. Your actions are guided by your own principles, not by the desire for approval or recognition. Letting go of the need for praise also allows you to take more risks and be more authentic. When you're no longer concerned with whether others will applaud your efforts, you give yourself the freedom to explore new ideas, try new things, and express yourself more fully. This opens up a world of possibilities where you can grow and evolve without being limited by the fear of losing approval. At its core, the desire for praise is often rooted in insecurity. When you don't fully trust yourself or believe in your own worth, you seek external validation to fill that void. But no amount of praise can truly make up for a lack of self-confidence. To find true freedom, you must cultivate a sense of self-worth that is independent of others' opinions. This inner confidence allows you to live authentically, without the need for constant reassurance from those around you. When you detach from the need for praise, you also become less affected by criticism. Just as praise is an external force, so is blame or disapproval. By viewing both as opinions rather than facts, you protect your inner peace from being swayed by others' judgments. Whether someone praises or criticizes you, your sense of self remains intact because it is not dependent on their approval. This detachment from praise also leads to deeper relationships. When you no longer seek validation from others, you approach your interactions with a sense of authenticity. You no longer feel the need to perform or seek approval, which allows you to connect with others on a more genuine level. This creates stronger, more meaningful relationships, built on mutual respect rather than the desire for praise or recognition. In a world that often equates success with external validation, detaching from praise can feel counterintuitive. Society encourages us to seek approval, to chase accolades, and to measure our worth by how much recognition we receive. But true success is not about how much praise you earn. It's about how closely you live in alignment with your own values. By letting go of the need for praise, you free yourself to pursue a life that is meaningful to you, regardless of whether others notice or approve. This freedom allows you to pursue goals that are deeply personal, rather than those that will earn you the most applause. When you stop chasing praise, you start focusing on what truly matters to you. This shift in focus brings a sense of fulfillment that external validation could never provide. You begin to find joy in the process itself, rather than in the recognition that might follow. By releasing the need for praise, you also become more resilient. When your self-worth is not tied to others' approval, you are better able to weather the ups and downs of life. You no longer rely on external validation to feel good about yourself, which makes you less vulnerable to the emotional highs and lows that come with seeking praise. This resilience allows you to remain grounded, even in the face of challenges or setbacks. As you let go of the desire for praise, you also develop a deeper sense of purpose. Your actions are no longer driven by the need to be recognized or admired. Instead, they are guided by your own inner values and a sense of what is right for you. This clarity of purpose allows you to live with greater focus and intention, knowing that your worth is not determined by others' opinions. In the end, viewing praise as a form of control allows you to reclaim your freedom. You stop seeking approval from others and start living in alignment with your own values. This brings a sense of peace, confidence, and fulfillment that cannot be achieved through external validation. By detaching from both praise and blame, you protect your inner life from the influences of others, allowing you to live authentically and with true autonomy. As you learn to detach from the control that praise can exert over your life, you begin to see another layer of external pressure that subtly shapes your actions, the social roles you feel obligated to fulfill. These roles are often handed to you by society, family, or friends, and while they may appear harmless, they can confine you to expectations that don't reflect who you truly are. The need to fit into these predefined roles can be suffocating, leading you to live a life that is more about meeting others' standards than being true to yourself. To find real freedom, it is essential to break away from these imposed roles and embrace your own path, one that aligns with your inner values. These roles can start early in life, from being the good student or the reliable sibling, to later becoming the responsible adult or the selfless parent. While there is nothing inherently wrong with these roles, they often come with expectations that can overshadow your true desires. When you start fulfilling these roles simply because they are expected of you, rather than because they align with your nature, you lose touch with who you are. You become a reflection of what others want you to be, rather than who you are meant to be. Epictetus, the Stoic philosopher, understood the importance of playing the role that is uniquely yours, not one that has been assigned to you by external forces. He taught that each of us has a role to play in life, but that role should come from within. It should not be dictated by the pressures of society or the expectations of others. When you allow yourself to be shaped by these external roles, you are giving away your freedom. You are living someone else's life instead of your own. Rejecting obligatory social roles is not about abandoning your responsibilities or ignoring the needs of others. It's about finding a balance between fulfilling your obligations and staying true to yourself. It means questioning whether the roles you are playing are truly in line with your values, or if they are merely a way to meet the expectations of others. It's about being honest with yourself and having the courage to step out of roles that don't reflect your authentic self. When you stop living according to these imposed roles, you allow yourself to grow in ways you may not have thought possible. You are no longer confined by the limitations of what others expect from you. Instead, you open yourself up to the freedom of exploring who you really are and what you truly want out of life. This process can be uncomfortable at first, as it requires stepping away from the security of others' approval. But it is in this discomfort that real growth happens. Fulfilling roles that don't align with your nature can lead to a life of quiet frustration. You may find yourself constantly trying to meet expectations that feel unnatural to you, leading to a sense of unease and dissatisfaction. The more you conform to these roles, the more disconnected you become from your true self. Over time, this disconnect can create a deep sense of emptiness, as though you are living a life that isn't really yours. Rejecting obligatory social roles allows you to reclaim your identity. You begin to make decisions based on what feels right for you, rather than what others expect of you. This shift in perspective is liberating, as it frees you from the pressure to conform. You start living in alignment with your own values and desires, rather than being driven by the need to fit into a certain mold. This rejection of imposed roles also helps you build stronger boundaries. When you no longer feel obligated to fulfill every role that others place on you, you gain the ability to say no when necessary. You stop overcommitting yourself to roles that drain your energy or pull you away from your true path. This creates space for you to focus on what truly matters to you, rather than being constantly pulled in different directions by the demands of others. Letting go of these roles also brings a greater sense of clarity. You begin to see which aspects of your life are truly fulfilling and which are merely obligations you've taken on because of social expectations. This clarity allows you to make more intentional choices, guiding you toward a life that reflects your true nature. You become more aware of when you are acting out of obligation and when you are acting out of a genuine desire to live in accordance with your own values. This process of rejecting obligatory roles also teaches you to trust yourself more. When you stop relying on others to define your role in life, you begin to trust your own judgment. You realize that you are capable of deciding what is best for you without needing to follow a path that has been laid out by society or family. This self-trust is empowering, as it allows you to move forward with confidence, knowing that you are living a life that is true to who you are. Breaking away from imposed roles can also lead to more meaningful relationships. When you are no longer fulfilling roles out of obligation, your relationships become more authentic. You stop trying to be what others want you to be and start showing up as your true self. This allows for deeper connections, where both you and the people in your life can relate to each other from a place of honesty and authenticity. Rejecting these roles also helps you avoid burnout. When you are constantly trying to meet the expectations of others, you can easily become overwhelmed. The pressure to live up to these roles can take a toll on your mental and emotional well-being. But when you step out of these roles and start living according to your own values, you free yourself from this pressure. You begin to focus on what truly nourishes you, rather than trying to meet the endless demands of others. This doesn't mean that you stop caring about the people in your life. In fact, by rejecting roles that don't align with your nature, you are better able to show up for others in a way that is genuine and meaningful. You are no longer acting out of obligation or trying to fulfill expectations that don't resonate with you. Instead, you are able to give from a place of authenticity, which makes your contributions more impactful and heartfelt. As you move away from fulfilling imposed roles, you also become more comfortable with uncertainty. The need to fit into a specific role often comes from a desire for security or predictability. But when you let go of these roles, you embrace the unknown. You allow yourself to explore new possibilities, even if they don't fit neatly into a predefined category. This willingness to step into the unknown opens up a world of opportunities where you can grow and evolve in ways that are true to your nature. By rejecting obligatory roles, you also learn to take ownership of your life. You stop blaming others for the expectations they place on you and start taking responsibility for how you choose to live. This shift in mindset allows you to feel more empowered, as you realize that you are in control of your own destiny. You no longer need to follow a path that has been set by others. Instead, you can create your own path, one that reflects your true desires and values. This process also teaches you to be more patient with yourself. Rejecting imposed roles can be challenging, especially if you have been fulfilling them for a long time. It takes time to unlearn the patterns of behavior that have been shaped by these roles. But with patience and self-compassion, you can begin to let go of the need to meet others' expectations and start living in alignment with your own values. When you stop fulfilling obligatory social roles, you also gain a deeper sense of freedom. You are no longer confined by the limitations of what others expect from you. Instead, you are free to explore new ways of being, new ways of expressing yourself, and new ways of living that are aligned with your true nature. This freedom allows you to live more fully and authentically, without the burden of trying to fit into a mold that doesn't reflect who you are. Rejecting these roles also allows you to be more present in your life. When you are no longer focused on meeting others' expectations, you can fully engage with the present moment. You stop worrying about whether you are fulfilling your role properly and start living in the here and now. This presence brings a sense of peace and fulfillment, as you are no longer constantly striving to meet external standards. Ultimately, rejecting obligatory social roles is about reclaiming your life. It's about stepping away from the pressures of society, family, and friends, and choosing to live in a way that feels true to you. By letting go of these roles, you free yourself to explore who you really are and what you truly want out of life. This journey may be challenging, but it is also deeply rewarding, as it leads you toward a life of greater authenticity, freedom, and fulfillment. As you move beyond the confines of obligatory social roles, another profound truth begins to emerge. The ability to stand alone is one of the most powerful forms of freedom you can experience. Rejecting roles imposed by others naturally leads to periods of solitude. In these moments, you are left to face yourself without the distractions or validation of external expectations. It is here, in solitude, that the greatest strength is cultivated. The fear of being alone is often rooted in the idea that solitude equals loneliness. But there is a profound difference between the two. Being alone can be an opportunity to reconnect with yourself, to understand who you are when all the noise fades away. Solitude allows you to break free from the constant need for social validation. In a world that often pressures you to be surrounded by others, to always be connected, learning to embrace being alone is an act of rebellion against this dependency. There is a quiet strength in solitude, a strength that comes from knowing you are enough as you are, without the need for external approval. When you learn to be comfortable in your own company, you stop seeking affirmation from the outside world. This is where true independence is born, when your sense of self is no longer tied to others' opinions or presence. The Stoics understood this well. They believed that wisdom and strength were found in solitude because it is in these moments that you are free from external influence. When you are alone, you have the opportunity to reflect, to dive deeply into your thoughts, and to cultivate a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. In solitude, you gain clarity about your values, your desires, and your purpose. It is a time for introspection, for building the inner resilience that allows you to navigate life's challenges with a calm and steady mind. Being alone also frees you from the subtle pressures of comparison. When surrounded by others, it's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your life against theirs, whether it's their achievements, relationships, or social status. Solitude removes these external benchmarks, giving you the space to focus solely on your own growth and well-being. You begin to realize that your worth isn't determined by how you stack up against others, but by how true you are to yourself. This awareness brings a profound sense of peace. Learning to embrace solitude also shifts your relationship with time. When you are comfortable being alone, you stop feeling the need to fill every moment with activity or interaction. You no longer feel pressured to stay busy just to avoid being by yourself. Instead, you begin to appreciate the stillness, the quiet, and the opportunity to simply be. This shift allows you to experience time differently, no longer as something to be filled, but as something to be savored. Solitude also helps you build emotional self-reliance. When you are alone, there is no one to lean on for comfort or validation. This forces you to develop the ability to soothe yourself, to find peace within, rather than depending on others to provide it for you. Over time, this self-reliance becomes a source of great strength. You realize that you are capable of handling life's difficulties on your own, and that you don't need to rely on others to navigate challenging emotions or situations. This emotional independence does not mean that you shut people out or avoid connection. Rather, it means that your relationships become more authentic, built on mutual respect rather than need. When you are comfortable being alone, you engage with others from a place of wholeness, not from a place of dependency. You no longer need others to fill a void, because you have learned to fill that void yourself. This creates stronger, healthier relationships, where both parties are free to be themselves without the burden of unmet needs or expectations. Embracing solitude also deepens your creativity and problem-solving abilities. Without the constant chatter of external voices, you have the space to explore new ideas and perspectives. Solitude allows your mind to wander freely, unburdened by the opinions or judgments of others. This freedom fosters creativity, giving you the opportunity to think deeply and come up with solutions that are uniquely yours. When you are alone, you can dive into your thoughts without interruption, leading to insights that may not have been possible in a crowded or noisy environment. Being comfortable with solitude also means that you are no longer afraid of being misunderstood. When you are at peace with being alone, you realize that not everyone will understand your choices or your path, and that's okay. You stop needing others to validate or comprehend your decisions because you are confident in your own understanding of yourself. This self-assurance allows you to live more freely, without the pressure of constantly explaining yourself to others. Solitude helps you become more grounded. When you spend time alone, you reconnect with what truly matters to you, rather than being swayed by the ever-changing opinions or trends around you. This grounding in your own values gives you a solid foundation from which to live your life. You are no longer pulled in different directions by the desires or expectations of others. Instead, you stand firm in your own truth, which provides a sense of stability that external validation could never offer. Another benefit of solitude is the development of mindfulness. When you are alone, you have the opportunity to fully engage with the present moment. Without distractions, you become more aware of your surroundings, your thoughts, and your feelings. This mindfulness allows you to experience life more fully, to appreciate the beauty in the small moments, and to cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude. In solitude, you learn to be present with yourself, which enhances your overall sense of well-being. Learning to embrace solitude also strengthens your decision-making skills. When you are comfortable being alone, you have the space to reflect on important choices without the influence of others. This reflection allows you to make decisions that are aligned with your values, rather than being swayed by the opinions or expectations of those around you. The ability to make decisions from a place of inner clarity is a powerful tool, one that leads to greater confidence and self-assurance in your choices. Solitude also offers a sense of freedom from the constant noise of the world. In a society that often values busyness and connection over stillness and quiet, choosing to spend time alone can feel like a radical act. But it is in this quiet that you find freedom from the pressures and demands of modern life. You are no longer bombarded by the noise of social media, news, or the opinions of others. Instead, you have the space to reconnect with your inner self, free from external distractions. This freedom from noise also allows you to build greater self-awareness. When you are alone, you have the opportunity to observe your thoughts and emotions without distraction. This observation leads to a deeper understanding of yourself, your triggers, your patterns, your strengths, and your weaknesses. With this awareness, you can begin to make changes in your life that align with your true self, rather than being shaped by external influences. Embracing solitude also cultivates resilience. When you are comfortable being alone, you develop the ability to handle life's challenges with greater strength and independence. You no longer rely on others to get you through difficult times, because you have learned to rely on yourself. This resilience becomes a source of inner power, allowing you to face adversity with confidence, knowing that you are capable of weathering the storm on your own. In solitude, you also learn to prioritize your own needs and well-being. Without the constant demands of others, you have the space to focus on what truly matters to you. This focus allows you to take better care of yourself, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Solitude provides the time and space to rest, reflect, and recharge, ensuring that you are better equipped to navigate the challenges of life. Ultimately, embracing solitude is about finding peace within yourself. It's about learning that you are enough as you are, without the need for constant connection or validation from others. When you are comfortable being alone, you experience a profound sense of freedom. Freedom from the pressures of society, the expectations of others, and the noise of the world. In this freedom, you find a deeper connection with yourself, one that allows you to live more authentically and with greater inner strength. Choosing solitude over the constant pull of social validation is not always easy, but it is one of the most liberating choices you can make. In solitude, you learn to listen to yourself, to trust your own voice, and to find peace in your own company. This is where true freedom lies, in the ability to be alone without feeling lonely, and to find strength and wisdom within yourself, free from the influence of others. As you find comfort in solitude and the strength it offers, another layer of personal freedom awaits. Freedom from the need to present yourself in a certain way to others. The desire to control how you appear in the eyes of the world can quietly dominate your actions and decisions. The way people perceive your status, your looks, or your possessions can create a sense of pressure to conform to expectations that are not truly your own. However, true inner peace comes from practicing radical indifference to appearances. It's about letting go of the constant concern over how others judge your external life and focusing on what truly matters, the quality of your inner world. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of this mindset, encouraging the rejection of external judgments about one's appearance, wealth, or status. These are all temporary, superficial measures that can distract you from developing your inner character. When you place too much importance on how others view your outward appearance, you are handing over your sense of self-worth to forces outside of your control. By embracing indifference to appearances, you take back that control, allowing your identity to be shaped by what is internal rather than by fleeting external validations. The constant need to be perceived in a favorable light leads to an exhausting cycle of self-monitoring. You become hyper-aware of how you dress, how you talk, how you present yourself in social situations. This not only creates anxiety, but also distracts you from the more important work of focusing on your inner life. When you free yourself from the need to impress others or meet societal standards of appearance, you begin to live more authentically. You stop trying to fit into molds created by others and start defining yourself based on your values and principles. This indifference to appearances also brings a sense of liberation. You no longer feel the need to meet expectations that are tied to wealth, beauty, or social status. Instead, you find confidence in knowing that these external markers do not define you. The pressure to constantly look a certain way or display material success disappears when you understand that true fulfillment comes from within. You are no longer chasing an image that society deems acceptable. Instead, you are creating a life that feels true to who you are. Embracing this mindset doesn't mean neglecting your appearance or completely disregarding how you present yourself to the world. It's about shifting your focus. You stop prioritizing how others perceive your outward self and start caring more about the integrity of your inner self. When your actions are guided by internal values rather than external judgments, you find a deeper sense of purpose. You are no longer driven by the need to be seen in a certain way, but by the desire to live in accordance with your beliefs. Radical indifference to appearances also teaches you to value substance over superficiality. The world often places importance on how things look, whether it's physical beauty, material possessions, or social status. But these are all surface-level distractions that can lead you away from what truly matters. By practicing indifference to appearances, you learn to look beyond the surface and focus on what is lasting and meaningful. You stop judging yourself and others based on how things look and start valuing the quality of character, integrity, and inner strength. This approach also helps you detach from the influence of trends and social pressures. Society is constantly pushing new ideals of beauty, success, and status. If you base your worth on meeting these ever-changing standards, you will always feel a sense of inadequacy. By cultivating indifference to appearances, you free yourself from this constant need to keep up. You begin to live for yourself, not for the approval of others or to meet society's shifting expectations. When you stop caring about how others perceive your appearance, you open yourself up to a new level of freedom. You are no longer burdened by the judgments or opinions of others. Instead, you live with the confidence that comes from knowing that your worth is not tied to how you look or what you own. This self-assurance allows you to move through the world with greater ease, unbothered by the superficial concerns that once weighed you down. Indifference to appearances also allows you to form deeper, more meaningful connections with others. When you stop placing importance on how people look or what they own, you start to see them for who they truly are. This creates space for more genuine relationships, built on mutual respect and shared values rather than superficial judgments. You begin to surround yourself with people who appreciate you for your character, not for your outward appearance. This mindset shift also brings a sense of peace. When you stop worrying about how others perceive your looks or your status, you experience less stress and anxiety. You are no longer constantly trying to manage the impressions of others. Instead, you focus on cultivating inner peace and strength, knowing that this is where true fulfillment lies. The freedom that comes from letting go of external appearances allows you to live with a sense of calm and confidence. Letting go of appearances also helps you avoid the trap of comparison. When you are constantly focused on how you appear to others, it's easy to compare yourself to those around you. Whether it's their looks, their possessions, or their social status, this comparison creates a sense of inadequacy. But when you practice indifference to appearances, you stop comparing. You no longer feel the need to measure yourself against others because you understand that external appearances are not what define you. This indifference also helps you develop resilience. When you are not concerned with how others perceive your appearance, you become less affected by criticism or praise. You no longer rely on the opinions of others to validate your worth. This resilience allows you to navigate life's challenges with a greater sense of confidence, knowing that your value comes from within, not from external judgments. Practicing radical indifference to appearances also aligns you with the Stoic belief that what truly matters is how you conduct yourself in life, not how you are perceived. Your actions, your decisions, and your character are far more important than how you look or what others think of you. This shift in focus allows you to live with greater integrity, as you are no longer influenced by the desire to present yourself in a way that pleases others. This mindset also brings greater authenticity into your life. When you are no longer concerned with managing appearances, you begin to show up in the world as your true self. You stop hiding behind a facade or trying to be something you're not. This authenticity allows you to live more fully and with greater freedom, as you are no longer constrained by the need to fit into societal expectations. Radical indifference to appearances also fosters self-acceptance. When you stop seeking validation from others based on how you look or what you own, you begin to accept yourself as you are. You no longer feel the need to change or improve your appearance to meet external standards. Instead, you find contentment in knowing that your worth is not tied to superficial markers. This self-acceptance brings a sense of peace and fulfillment that external validation could never provide. By practicing indifference to appearances, you also free yourself from the fear of judgment. You no longer worry about how others will perceive your choices or your lifestyle. Instead, you live according to your own values, unafraid of how others may judge you. This fearlessness allows you to take more risks, to be more authentic, and to live a life that is true to who you are, without the constraints of external expectations. This mindset shift also helps you find greater purpose in your life. When you stop caring about appearances, you start focusing on what truly matters: your character, your actions, and your impact on the world. You are no longer distracted by the superficial concerns of how you are perceived. Instead, you are driven by a deeper sense of purpose, one that is aligned with your values and your desire to live a meaningful life. Ultimately, practicing radical indifference to appearances is about finding true freedom. It's about letting go of the need to present yourself in a way that pleases others and embracing who you are without the pressure of external judgments. This freedom allows you to live more authentically, more confidently, and more peacefully, knowing that your worth is defined by your inner life, not by how you appear on the outside. As you learn to detach from the pressures of external appearances, you gain a deeper understanding of what truly matters in life: your internal values, the strength of your character, and the peace that comes from within. But there is another layer of freedom that you must confront, one that is often harder to face: the fear of losing relationships. This fear can silently dictate your actions, shaping the way you behave and the choices you make. When you base your decisions on the fear of losing someone, whether it's a friend, a partner, or a family member, you give up a part of your autonomy. True freedom lies in releasing this fear, in understanding that clinging to relationships can often lead to losing yourself. The Stoics recognized the impermanence of relationships. Seneca, in particular, warned against becoming too attached to the people in your life, not because relationships are unimportant, but because attachment can trap you in a cycle of fear and dependency. People come and go, relationships evolve, and sometimes they fade away. When your actions are driven by the fear of these changes, you lose sight of what is most important: your own principles. Instead of acting from a place of reason and integrity, you start making decisions out of a desperate need to hold on to the relationship, often at the expense of your own well-being. When you abandon the fear of losing relationships, you begin to experience a new kind of freedom. You no longer feel the pressure to please others or to maintain connections that no longer serve you. Instead, you start to live authentically, guided by your values and not by the need to preserve every relationship in your life. This doesn't mean you stop caring about the people around you. It simply means that you stop allowing the fear of losing them to dictate your actions. This mindset shift also allows you to build stronger, more genuine relationships. When you are not driven by the fear of losing someone, you can engage with them from a place of openness and authenticity. You are no longer trying to mold yourself into someone they need or expect you to be. Instead, you show up as your true self, allowing for a deeper connection that isn't clouded by fear or insecurity. This kind of relationship, built on mutual respect and honesty, is far more resilient than one that is maintained out of fear. Letting go of the fear of losing relationships also teaches you to value quality over quantity. You stop clinging to relationships that no longer align with who you are or what you value. Instead, you focus on nurturing the connections that are meaningful and fulfilling. This shift allows you to invest more deeply in the relationships that matter, while gracefully letting go of those that don't. You no longer feel the need to hold on to every connection for the sake of avoiding loss, which frees you to cultivate more meaningful bonds. When you release this fear, you also gain a deeper sense of trust in yourself and in the natural flow of life. You come to understand that relationships, like everything else, are impermanent. People will come into your life and some will leave. This is the natural course of things. By accepting this reality, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to control the outcome of every relationship. You trust that the right people will stay in your life, and those who leave do so for a reason. This trust also helps you become more adaptable. When you are no longer afraid of losing relationships, you become more flexible in how you approach them. You stop trying to force connections to fit into a certain mold or to last forever. Instead, you allow relationships to evolve naturally, accepting that some will change and others may end. This adaptability allows you to approach your connections with a sense of ease, knowing that change is a part of life and that it doesn't diminish the value of what you once shared. By abandoning the fear of losing relationships, you also strengthen your sense of independence. You no longer rely on others to validate your worth or to provide you with a sense of security. Instead, you find that security within yourself. This independence allows you to engage in relationships from a place of wholeness, rather than from a place of need. You stop seeking external validation and start trusting that you are enough on your own, whether or not certain relationships remain in your life. This process of letting go also helps you develop a healthier sense of detachment. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about the people in your life. It means that you stop clinging to them out of fear. You learn to love and appreciate others without becoming dependent on them for your happiness. This detachment allows you to enjoy your relationships more fully without the constant worry of losing them. You are able to be present with the people you care about, knowing that your happiness is not contingent on their presence in your life. Letting go of the fear of losing relationships also brings a sense of inner peace. You are no longer consumed by the anxiety of whether or not someone will stay in your life. Instead, you focus on what you can control: your own actions, your own values, and your own sense of fulfillment. This peace allows you to approach your relationships with a calm and steady mind, free from the emotional turbulence that often accompanies fear. This peace also gives you the space to grow. When you are no longer afraid of losing relationships, you are free to evolve and change without worrying about how it will affect the people around you. You stop holding yourself back out of fear that your growth will push others away. Instead, you embrace the natural process of change, trusting that those who are meant to be in your life will grow with you, and those who aren't will fall away. By releasing the fear of losing relationships, you also open yourself up to new connections. When you are no longer clinging to the relationships you currently have, you make space for new people to enter your life. You stop fearing the unknown and start embracing the possibilities that come with change. This openness allows you to attract new relationships that are aligned with your current values and who you are becoming. Abandoning the fear of losing relationships also helps you develop healthier boundaries. When you are not afraid of losing someone, you are more likely to set boundaries that protect your well-being. You stop compromising your values or overextending yourself just to keep a relationship intact. Instead, you prioritize your own needs, knowing that the right people will respect those boundaries. This leads to relationships that are more balanced and mutually supportive. This mindset also allows you to navigate conflict with greater ease. When you are not afraid of losing a relationship, you are less likely to avoid difficult conversations or to suppress your own needs. You can engage in healthy conflict, knowing that it won't necessarily lead to the end of the relationship. This willingness to address issues head-on leads to stronger, more resilient connections, where both parties feel heard and respected. Letting go of this fear also allows you to experience relationships more fully. When you are not constantly worried about the future of a relationship, you can be fully present in the moment. You stop holding back out of fear and start showing up with openness and vulnerability. This creates a deeper sense of intimacy, where you can connect with others on a more authentic level without the barriers that fear often creates. Releasing the fear of losing relationships also helps you embrace your own worth. You come to understand that your value is not determined by the number of relationships you have or by who chooses to stay in your life. Instead, you recognize that your worth comes from within and that it is not dependent on anyone else's presence. This self-worth allows you to engage in relationships from a place of confidence, knowing that you are enough, whether or not certain people remain in your life. This mindset also helps you appreciate the relationships you do have without becoming attached to them. You learn to enjoy the time you spend with others without needing to hold on to them forever. This appreciation allows you to approach your relationships with a sense of gratitude rather than with a sense of fear or insecurity. You cherish the connections you have while also being at peace with the possibility that they may change or end. By abandoning the fear of losing relationships, you also free yourself from the weight of regret. When you are not afraid of letting go, you stop holding on to relationships that no longer serve you. This prevents the buildup of resentment or regret that often comes from staying in relationships out of fear. Instead, you move forward with a sense of clarity and purpose, knowing that you are making choices that are aligned with your values and well-being. Letting go of the fear of losing relationships is about trusting yourself and the natural flow of life. It's about recognizing that relationships, like everything else, are impermanent, and that clinging to them only leads to suffering. By releasing this fear, you free yourself to live more authentically, to connect more deeply, and to trust that the right people will remain in your life, while others may move on. In this freedom, you find a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that you are living in alignment with your true self. As you let go of the fear of losing relationships, a new freedom arises, the freedom to act without the constant need for approval. This extends beyond your relationships and touches the very core of how you approach life. One of the most subtle traps we often fall into is the desire for recognition through the good deeds we perform. It can feel natural to seek praise for being kind, generous, or selfless, but when your actions are motivated by the need for approval, the purity of those actions is lost. True virtue comes from doing what is right, not from seeking validation. The reward for a good deed lies within the deed itself, not in how others perceive it. The Stoic philosophers understood this well. They taught that virtue is something to be pursued for its own sake, not for the approval or recognition it might bring. When you do good simply to be praised, your actions are no longer rooted in genuine virtue. They become transactional, a way of earning favor or admiration. This undermines the integrity of your character. By focusing on doing what is right, because it aligns with your principles, you free yourself from the need for external validation. Acting virtuously without expecting recognition allows you to connect more deeply with your own sense of purpose. You start to understand that the true value of your actions comes from within, not from how others perceive them. This shift in perspective helps you build a more authentic sense of self-worth. You are no longer dependent on others to feel good about the good you do. Instead, your sense of fulfillment comes from knowing that you are living in alignment with your values. When you stop seeking approval through good deeds, you also free yourself from the disappointment that often follows when recognition doesn't come. It's easy to feel disheartened when your efforts go unnoticed, especially when you've put your heart into them. But by releasing the need for praise, you find peace in knowing that the worth of your actions isn't tied to how others respond. Whether or not people acknowledge your efforts, you know that you are acting in accordance with your principles, and that is enough. This detachment from approval allows you to be more consistent in your actions. When you're not driven by the desire for recognition, you no longer pick and choose your moments of virtue based on who is watching or how it will be perceived. Instead, you act with integrity at all times, regardless of the circumstances. This consistency is a reflection of true character, doing the right thing even when there is no one around to praise or reward you for it. Letting go of the need for approval also brings a greater sense of freedom in your relationships. When you stop doing good deeds to win praise or recognition, your interactions with others become more genuine. You're no longer trying to earn favor or maintain a certain image. Instead, you give freely, without expectations, and this creates space for more authentic connections. People begin to see you not for the approval you seek, but for the true kindness and generosity you offer. This mindset also helps you build resilience. When you're not seeking validation for your actions, you become less affected by the opinions of others. Whether people praise or criticize you, it doesn't change the fact that you are acting in alignment with your values. This resilience allows you to remain steady and focused, even when others don't respond in the way you might have hoped. You learn to trust your own judgment rather than relying on external feedback to validate your actions. By focusing on virtue for its own sake, you also deepen your understanding of what truly matters. When you are no longer distracted by the pursuit of approval, you are able to reflect more deeply on your motivations and intentions. You start to see that the real reward for living a virtuous life is the inner peace and fulfillment it brings, not the external praise or recognition you might receive. This shift in focus helps you stay grounded in what is truly important. Living this way also encourages you to be more selfless. When you're not doing good deeds to win approval, your actions become more about serving others and less about serving yourself. You give freely, without the need for recognition or repayment. This selflessness allows you to make a more genuine impact on the lives of others, as your actions are driven by a true desire to help, rather than by the need for validation. When you stop pursuing approval through good deeds, you also avoid the trap of becoming dependent on praise. It's easy to get caught in a cycle where you only feel good about yourself when others are praising you for your actions. But this kind of dependence can be dangerous, as it places your sense of self-worth in the hands of others. By focusing on doing good for its own sake, you build a sense of self-worth that is independent of external validation. You know that you are enough, regardless of whether or not people recognize your efforts. This independence from praise also helps you avoid burnout. When you're constantly seeking approval through your good deeds, it's easy to overextend yourself, taking on more than you can handle in an effort to earn praise. But when you act from a place of true virtue, you are able to set healthier boundaries. You give what you can, without feeling the need to prove yourself or earn recognition. This balance allows you to continue doing good without sacrificing your own well-being. Letting go of the need for approval also brings a greater sense of humility. When you're not seeking praise for your actions, you become more focused on the impact of your deeds rather than on how they make you look. This humility allows you to stay grounded in the true purpose of your actions, to make a positive difference in the world rather than to elevate your own status. You become less concerned with how others perceive you and more concerned with how you can contribute to the greater good. This humility also leads to greater inner peace. When you are no longer driven by the need for approval, you stop worrying about how others view you. You no longer feel the pressure to constantly prove yourself through your actions. Instead, you find peace in knowing that you are living in alignment with your values, and that is enough. This inner peace allows you to move through life with a sense of calm and confidence, knowing that you are acting with integrity, regardless of how others respond. Letting go of the need for approval also helps you become more present in your actions. When you are focused on winning praise, it's easy to become distracted by thoughts of how others will perceive you. But when you act from a place of true virtue, you are able to be fully present in the moment, focused on the act itself rather than on the outcome. This presence allows you to engage more deeply with the world around you, making your actions more meaningful and impactful. By abandoning the pursuit of approval, you also free yourself from the limitations of others' expectations. When you are constantly seeking praise, you may find yourself conforming to what others expect of you, rather than acting in alignment with your own values. But when you let go of this need, you are able to act more freely, guided by your own principles rather than by the desire to please others. This freedom allows you to live a more authentic life, one that is true to who you are. This authenticity also allows you to make a greater impact. When you are not concerned with how others perceive your actions, you are able to focus more fully on the impact of those actions. You stop worrying about whether or not people will notice or praise you, and instead focus on doing what is right. This shift in focus allows you to make a more meaningful difference, as your actions are driven by a true desire to contribute, rather than by the need for recognition. By letting go of the need for approval, you also become more self-aware. When you are no longer distracted by the pursuit of praise, you have more space to reflect on your motivations and intentions. You start to see where your actions are driven by a true desire to do good, and where they may be influenced by the need for validation. This self-awareness allows you to make more intentional choices, ensuring that your actions are aligned with your values rather than with the desire for approval. Abandoning the pursuit of approval through good deeds is about reclaiming your autonomy. It's about acting in alignment with your own principles rather than being swayed by the need for recognition or praise. This autonomy allows you to live more authentically, more confidently, and more peacefully, knowing that the true reward for your actions lies in the act itself, not in how others perceive it. As you free yourself from the need for approval and start acting purely out of your own values, another challenge begins to surface, one that is often subtle but deeply impactful: manipulation. Many people go through life without realizing how others can subtly influence their thoughts, actions, and even beliefs. Sometimes this manipulation is obvious, but more often it's hidden beneath layers of flattery, guilt, or societal expectations. The feeling of being controlled, even without knowing it, erodes your freedom and autonomy. Stoicism offers profound lessons on how to break free from these hidden influences, guiding you to live in alignment with your principles rather than being swayed by external forces. Understanding and applying these lessons is the key to regaining control over your life. The first lesson is to understand that manipulation often stems from your own vulnerabilities. People manipulate you when they see gaps in your emotional defenses, whether it's a need for validation, a fear of rejection, or a desire to fit in. Recognizing these vulnerabilities is the first step in protecting yourself. The Stoics emphasized the importance of self-awareness. When you know your weaknesses, you can guard against those who might exploit them. Instead of being driven by unexamined desires, you learn to act from a place of strength and clarity. Another critical Stoic lesson is the importance of emotional detachment. Manipulation often works because it triggers strong emotions, fear, guilt, or a sense of obligation. These emotions cloud your judgment, making it easier for others to control your actions. By practicing emotional detachment, you can step back and assess situations more objectively. You learn to separate your feelings from the actions of others, preventing them from using your emotions as a tool of control. This doesn't mean you stop feeling, but rather that you gain control over how those feelings influence your decisions. A key to avoiding manipulation is understanding the motives behind people's actions. Often, manipulation is not done out of malice, but because others are trying to achieve their own goals, sometimes at your expense. The Stoics taught that every person acts according to their own nature and circumstances. By recognizing this, you can see through the surface of others' actions to understand their true intent. This awareness helps you avoid falling into traps set by people who may not even realize they are being manipulative. One of the most powerful defenses against manipulation is the ability to say no. This simple act, often difficult for many, is a profound expression of autonomy. Stoicism teaches that you are responsible for your own actions, and saying no when something doesn't align with your values is a way of asserting that responsibility. People often manipulate by pushing boundaries, making demands, or asking for more than is reasonable. Learning to say no without guilt frees you from the fear of disappointing others or being seen as uncooperative. Another Stoic principle is that true freedom comes from within. External circumstances, including the actions of others, are beyond your control. What you can control is how you respond to those actions. When you realize this, you stop giving others the power to dictate your thoughts and emotions. Even if someone tries to manipulate you, they can only succeed if you allow it. By focusing on your internal strength and clarity, you become immune to the subtle pressures others may place on you. Manipulation also thrives on a lack of clear boundaries. When you don't set and enforce boundaries, you leave yourself open to others taking advantage of your time, energy, or resources. The Stoics emphasized the importance of knowing your limits and defending them. Setting boundaries is not about shutting people out, but about protecting your well-being and maintaining control over your life. When you are clear about what is acceptable and what is not, people have less room to manipulate you. One of the most common forms of manipulation is through guilt. Others may try to make you feel responsible for their emotions or circumstances, using guilt as a way to control your actions. Stoicism teaches that each person is responsible for their own choices and feelings. By internalizing this lesson, you can recognize when someone is trying to shift their burden onto you. You learn to reject guilt that is not yours to carry, freeing yourself from being manipulated by others' emotional tactics. Another tool manipulators often use is flattery. They praise you excessively or appeal to your ego to get what they want. The Stoics warned against letting praise sway your actions. When you become attached to approval, you become vulnerable to manipulation. By remaining indifferent to both praise and criticism, you protect yourself from being controlled by others' opinions. You act not to win approval, but because it aligns with your values and principles. A more subtle form of manipulation comes in the form of social expectations. Society often imposes roles and behaviors on individuals, pressuring them to conform. Stoicism encourages you to live according to your own principles, not those of society. When you free yourself from the need to meet societal expectations, you are no longer controlled by the pressure to conform. This allows you to live authentically without being swayed by the norms or judgments of others. Another important Stoic lesson is to be wary of those who use fear as a tool of control. Fear is a powerful motivator, and people often manipulate others by instilling fear of rejection, failure, or loss. Stoicism teaches that most fears are rooted in things beyond your control, and thus they should not govern your actions. When you learn to face your fears with courage, you break free from the control others try to exert through intimidation or threats. One way to avoid being manipulated is to cultivate a strong sense of self-awareness. When you are in tune with your own values, needs, and desires, you are less likely to be swayed by others' agendas. The Stoics believed that self-reflection was essential for personal growth. By regularly examining your thoughts and motivations, you can recognize when someone is trying to influence you against your better judgment. Another form of manipulation comes from those who play the victim, attempting to manipulate your sense of compassion. While empathy is an important trait, the Stoics advised against letting it cloud your reason. There is a difference between helping someone out of kindness and being manipulated into taking responsibility for their problems. By practicing rational compassion, you can offer support without being drawn into manipulative dynamics, being misled or confused by others' manipulative strategies. A common manipulative tactic is making you feel indebted. People may do favors or offer help with the expectation of something in return, using this unspoken debt as leverage. Stoicism teaches that true kindness is given freely without expectation of repayment. By recognizing when others are trying to create a sense of obligation, you can break free from the manipulative dynamics of unspoken debts. Manipulation can also happen through the subtle influence of group dynamics. People may pressure you to conform to the group's expectations, making you feel as though you will be excluded if you don't comply. The Stoics emphasized the importance of independence, even in the face of group pressure. Standing firm in your beliefs, even when it goes against the group, is a way to maintain your personal autonomy and avoid being manipulated by collective influence. One of the more insidious forms of manipulation is gaslighting, making you doubt your own reality or perceptions. Stoicism teaches the importance of trusting your own reason and observations. When you are grounded in your own understanding of the truth, it becomes much harder for others to manipulate you by distorting reality. You learn to trust your own judgment and remain steadfast, even when others try to make you question it. Manipulation often succeeds when you are unaware of the power dynamics in your relationships. Some people manipulate by positioning themselves as authority figures or experts, making you feel dependent on their guidance. Stoicism teaches that true wisdom comes from within, and while learning from others is important, you must always remain the final judge of your own actions. By recognizing when someone is using their position to control you, you can reclaim your autonomy. Another lesson from Stoicism is the power of patience. Manipulators often push for immediate decisions, trying to pressure you into acting before you've had time to think. The Stoics believed in taking time to reflect before acting, especially in high-pressure situations. By slowing down and refusing to be rushed, you prevent others from taking advantage of you in moments of haste or confusion. Stoicism also teaches the importance of maintaining control over your own desires. Manipulators often exploit your wants and needs, promising to fulfill them in exchange for your compliance. When you learn to control your desires and practice contentment with what you have, you become less vulnerable to manipulation. You are no longer easily swayed by promises or temptations, as you find your fulfillment from within. A powerful defense against manipulation is the practice of mindfulness. When you are fully present and aware of what is happening around you, it becomes much harder for others to manipulate you without your knowledge. The Stoics emphasize the importance of living in the moment, paying attention to your thoughts, and being conscious of your actions. This mindfulness allows you to recognize manipulative behaviors as they happen, giving you the power to resist them. Another key lesson from Stoicism is the understanding that your worth is not determined by others' approval or recognition. Manipulators often use praise or criticism to control your actions, but when you are indifferent to external judgments, you take back your power. Whether people approve of you or not, you remain true to your own values. This inner confidence protects you from being swayed by the opinions or expectations of others. One of the most important Stoic lessons for avoiding manipulation is to cultivate inner strength and resilience. Manipulators succeed when they sense weakness or insecurity. By developing your own inner fortitude, you become immune to external attempts to control or influence you. The Stoics taught that true power comes from within, from your ability to remain calm, rational, and in control of your own actions. This inner strength allows you to navigate life with confidence, free from the manipulative tactics of others. After learning to defend yourself against manipulation, you begin to realize there is one tool of personal power that stands above the rest: the ability to walk away. It is a choice that doesn't rely on arguments, persuasion, or confrontation. It is the quiet strength of deciding when to step back, when to remove yourself from situations, people, or environments that no longer serve your well-being or align with your values. Walking away is not about defeat or retreat. In fact, it is often the most powerful choice you can make. It's an act of clarity, of self-respect, and of taking control over what you allow into your life. By knowing when to leave, you reclaim your freedom. Walking away is often misunderstood as weakness, but in reality, it takes immense courage. Staying in a toxic situation can sometimes feel easier than leaving, especially when you're afraid of the unknown. However, walking away is an assertion of your boundaries. It says that you value yourself enough to not settle for less than you deserve. In this decision, there is strength to choose peace over conflict, clarity over confusion, and self-worth over external validation. One of the most powerful aspects of walking away is that it removes you from manipulation. When you realize you have the power to walk away, you are no longer a prisoner to others' tactics. Those who manipulate often rely on your fear of leaving, but once you recognize that staying is a choice and not a necessity, the control shifts back to you. Walking away sends a clear message: you will not be controlled by anyone else's agenda. By walking away, you also protect your mental and emotional health. Too often, people stay in situations that drain them because they feel trapped or obligated. But leaving toxic environments allows you to prioritize your well-being. It gives you the space to heal, to regain your energy, and to refocus on what truly matters. Walking away isn't about running from problems. It's about choosing to invest in your peace of mind. When you walk away, you also send a powerful signal to others about your standards. Whether it's a job, a relationship, or a social circle, your willingness to leave shows that you value yourself too much to stay in a place that compromises your integrity. Others begin to see that you are not someone who can be taken for granted. They understand that if they want to be part of your life, they need to meet you at your level of respect and understanding. Walking away also creates space for new opportunities. Sometimes, holding on to what is familiar keeps you from discovering something better. By leaving situations that no longer serve you, You open the door to new experiences, relationships, and possibilities. It's an act of trust in yourself and in the future, knowing that by letting go of what is holding you back, you create room for growth and transformation. One of the reasons walking away is so powerful is that it places the focus back on your own choices. You are no longer waiting for others to change or improve. You are no longer hoping that circumstances will magically get better. Instead, you take action. You take responsibility for your life, recognizing that you have the power to shape it by deciding what you will and will not tolerate. The power of walking away is also tied to self-respect. When you leave a situation that demeans or disrespects you, you affirm your worth. You show yourself that you deserve better and that you will not settle for less. This act of self-respect strengthens your confidence, reminding you that you have the power to choose what you allow into your life. It's a decision rooted in dignity, not in desperation. Walking away also helps you maintain your integrity. Sometimes, staying in a situation forces you to compromise your values. You might find yourself saying or doing things that don't align with who you truly are. But when you walk away, you preserve your sense of self. You stay true to your principles, refusing to be part of something that doesn't reflect your authentic self. The Stoics taught that true power comes from within, and walking away is one of the clearest examples of this. It's not about controlling others or forcing change. It's about recognizing that you are in control of your own actions. You don't need to win every battle or convince others to see things your way. Sometimes, the most powerful move is to simply walk away and let go of the struggle altogether. In relationships, walking away can be particularly transformative. Often, people stay in unhealthy dynamics out of fear of being alone, fear of the unknown, or fear of hurting someone else. But walking away from a toxic relationship is an act of self-love. It shows that you will not stay in a place where you are not valued or respected. And while it can be painful in the short term, it ultimately leads to a life where you are surrounded by people who truly appreciate and support you. Another reason walking away is so powerful is that it gives you time to reflect. When you leave a situation, you gain distance and perspective. You can see things more clearly without the emotional intensity that comes from being in the middle of it. This reflection helps you understand what went wrong, what you need, and how to move forward with greater wisdom. Walking away also reinforces your ability to trust yourself. It's a reminder that you know what is best for you, even when others try to convince you otherwise. Trusting your instincts, especially when the path is difficult, builds inner strength. It shows you that you are capable of making tough decisions and standing by them, even when the outcome is uncertain. Another important aspect of walking away is that it teaches others how to treat you. When you leave situations where you are not valued, you set a standard for how you expect to be treated. People learn that you will not tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or dishonesty. This not only protects you in the future, but also empowers you to form relationships that are built on mutual respect and understanding. Walking away also prevents you from wasting time and energy on situations that are not aligned with your goals. Staying in a place where you are unhappy drains your resources, leaving little room for growth or progress. But when you leave, you reclaim your time and energy, allowing you to focus on what truly matters. You stop trying to fix what cannot be fixed and start investing in what can bring you joy and fulfillment. It's important to understand that walking away is not about avoiding conflict or refusing to face challenges. On the contrary, it's often the most courageous choice you can make. It requires you to confront the reality of a situation and make a decision based on what is best for you. It's about having the strength to walk away from what doesn't serve you, even when it's difficult or painful. Walking away can also be a powerful way to break free from patterns of behavior that no longer serve you. Sometimes, staying in a situation allows old habits and negative cycles to continue. But by leaving, you create the opportunity for change. You give yourself the chance to break free from the past and create a new path forward, one that is aligned with your growth and well-being. When you walk away, you also reclaim your emotional freedom. Staying in a toxic situation can keep you trapped in a cycle of negative emotions, frustration, anger, sadness. But leaving gives you the space to heal and to process those emotions in a healthy way. It allows you to let go of the pain and move forward with a sense of peace. Another reason walking away is so powerful is that it helps you maintain your focus. When you are caught up in a situation that drains you, it's easy to lose sight of your goals and priorities. But by walking away, you clear the distractions and refocus on what truly matters. You stop wasting energy on things that don't align with your purpose and start moving toward what brings you closer to your true aspirations. Walking away also helps you cultivate resilience. It shows you that you are strong enough to leave behind what no longer serves you, even when it's difficult. This resilience builds over time, giving you the confidence to face future challenges with the knowledge that you have the strength to make the tough choices. The act of walking away is also an assertion of your independence. It shows that you are not reliant on others for your sense of self-worth or happiness. You can walk away from situations that don't align with your values because you trust yourself to create a life that reflects who you are. This independence is empowering as it reinforces your ability to shape your own destiny. When you walk away, you also allow others to take responsibility for their own actions. Often, staying in a situation enables others to continue harmful behavior without consequence. But by leaving, you show them that their actions have repercussions. You are no longer enabling their behavior, and you create the possibility for them to reflect and grow as well. Walking away is a declaration of your self-worth. It shows that you are not willing to compromise your values or well-being for the sake of staying in a situation that doesn't serve you. It's a powerful statement that you deserve better and that you are willing to take action to ensure you get it. Walking away creates a sense of closure. When you leave a situation, you allow yourself to move on, rather than staying stuck in a place that no longer fits you. This closure is essential for healing and for creating the space necessary to welcome new opportunities and experiences into your life. As you gain strength from walking away and reclaim your power, the next step is to refine your life by eliminating what no longer serves you. There are subtle, often unnoticed aspects of your daily existence that drain your energy, limit your potential, and prevent you from living with clarity. These things might not always be obvious, but once removed, they create space for peace, growth, and focus. Quietly letting go of these elements doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It's about making intentional choices that align with your values. By removing what weighs you down, you become lighter, freer, and more aligned with the life you want to lead. The first thing to eliminate is unnecessary drama. This type of conflict consumes your mental and emotional energy without offering any value in return. It pulls you into situations that are often trivial or exaggerated, distracting you from your true priorities. By stepping away from drama, whether it's in your personal life, at work, or in social circles, you protect your peace. Drama thrives on attention, and by quietly withdrawing yours, you allow yourself to focus on what truly matters, leaving behind the chaos that doesn't serve your growth. Toxic relationships are another element that quietly erodes your well-being. These relationships can be manipulative, draining, or simply unbalanced. They might be with friends, family members, or colleagues who consistently bring negativity into your life. Letting go of these relationships doesn't mean you need to make a dramatic exit or confront the other person. Often, the best course of action is to simply distance yourself. Gradually reducing contact allows you to reclaim your energy without engaging in conflict, making space for more positive and supportive relationships. Another area to address is the clutter that fills your physical space. Whether it's old possessions, unused items, or things you've been holding on to out of habit, clutter has a way of weighing you down emotionally and mentally. Letting go of unnecessary material items creates a sense of freedom and clarity. It's not just about having a tidy space, but about removing the visual noise that distracts you from what's important. Each item you release represents a step towards simplicity and focus, helping you feel more in control of your environment. Eliminating self-doubt is essential for living a fulfilled life. Self-doubt can creep into your thoughts, quietly sabotaging your confidence and holding you back from pursuing your goals. By recognizing and releasing these doubts, you free yourself to move forward without hesitation. This doesn't happen overnight, but by consistently challenging negative beliefs about yourself, you slowly build a stronger sense of self-worth. Over time, you realize that self-doubt is nothing more than a limiting mindset that you have the power to change. Unhealthy habits are another subtle drain on your potential. Whether it's poor dietary choices, lack of exercise, or procrastination, these habits quietly undermine your physical and mental health. They create a cycle of short-term gratification followed by long-term dissatisfaction. By gradually eliminating unhealthy habits and replacing them with more supportive routines, you regain control over your well-being. It's not about making drastic changes all at once, but about consistently choosing what nourishes and strengthens you. Excessive screen time is a modern challenge that many people struggle with. Social media, endless scrolling, and mindless television watching can consume hours of your day, leaving you feeling drained and disconnected. While technology is a valuable tool, it can also become a source of distraction and avoidance. By quietly reducing your screen time, you make room for more meaningful activities, whether it's reading, spending time with loved ones, or simply being present in the moment. This small shift can have a profound impact on your mental clarity and sense of purpose. Another thing to eliminate is the need for perfection. Perfectionism can be paralyzing, causing you to delay taking action or to constantly feel that you're not good enough. The pursuit of perfection often leads to frustration and burnout, as the ideal you're chasing is unattainable. By letting go of the need to be perfect, you give yourself permission to make mistakes, learn, and grow. This shift allows you to approach life with more ease and creativity, focusing on progress rather than an impossible standard. Limiting beliefs are another barrier to living fully. These are the thoughts and assumptions that tell you what you can and cannot achieve, often based on past experiences or societal conditioning. They quietly dictate your choices, keeping you within a narrow framework of what you believe is possible. By identifying and challenging these beliefs, you open yourself up to new possibilities. Releasing limiting beliefs allows you to expand your vision of what you're capable of and to pursue goals that once seemed out of reach. Fear of failure is something that many people carry with them, often without realizing it. This fear can prevent you from taking risks, trying new things, or pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. It quietly holds you back, convincing you to play it safe rather than pursuing your full potential. By acknowledging this fear and choosing to act in spite of it, you begin to dismantle its power over you. Each time you face a fear of failure and push through, you strengthen your resilience and your ability to take on bigger challenges. Another thing to eliminate is the constant need for external validation. Seeking approval from others can become a habit that quietly undermines your self-confidence. When your sense of worth is tied to how others perceive you, you lose touch with your own values and desires. By letting go of the need for validation, you start to trust yourself more. You become more attuned to your own inner voice and less concerned with what others think. This shift allows you to make decisions that align with who you truly are, rather than seeking approval from the outside world. The fear of missing out, FOMO, is another subtle influence that can lead you to make decisions that don't align with your values. FOMO often pushes you to say yes to things you don't really want to do, out of fear that you'll miss an opportunity or be left behind. By eliminating this fear, you gain the freedom to say no to what doesn't serve you and to focus on what truly matters. This quiet confidence in your choices allows you to live more intentionally without the constant pressure to be everywhere and do everything. Gossip and negative conversations are another thing to let go of. Engaging in gossip or constantly focusing on others' flaws creates a negative mindset and can damage relationships. It subtly shapes your thoughts, making you more critical and less compassionate. By stepping away from gossip and choosing to engage in more uplifting conversations, you cultivate a more positive and supportive environment for yourself and those around you. This shift helps you focus on personal growth rather than getting caught up in the flaws of others. Comparison is another thing that needs to be quietly eliminated from your life. Constantly comparing yourself to others, whether in terms of success, appearance, or achievements, creates feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction. It distracts you from your own unique path and potential. By letting go of comparison, you allow yourself to focus on your own journey. You start to appreciate your progress, no matter how different it may be from others, and this brings a greater sense of fulfillment and self-acceptance. Procrastination is a habit that slowly erodes your productivity and peace of mind. It quietly adds stress and anxiety to your life as tasks pile up and deadlines loom closer. By eliminating procrastination and tackling tasks as they arise, you regain a sense of control and accomplishment. You free yourself from the guilt and pressure that come with putting things off and replace it with the satisfaction of getting things done in a timely manner. Another thing to eliminate is holding grudges. Carrying resentment toward others doesn't hurt them, it only weighs you down. Grudges keep you trapped in the past, reliving old wounds and preventing you from moving forward. By quietly letting go of these resentments, you free yourself to experience peace and healing. Forgiveness isn't about excusing bad behavior, but about freeing yourself from the burden of bitterness. Overcommitment is another area that can quietly overwhelm your life. Saying yes to too many obligations can leave you feeling stretched thin and unable to give your best to any one thing. By eliminating unnecessary commitments and learning to say no more often, you create more space for the things that truly matter. This allows you to focus on quality over quantity and to give your full attention to the areas of your life that align with your priorities. Negative self-talk is a subtle but powerful force that can shape how you see yourself and the world. The way you speak to yourself matters, and when that inner dialogue is filled with criticism and doubt, it can undermine your confidence and potential. By eliminating negative self-talk and replacing it with more supportive, compassionate language, you start to build a healthier, more empowering relationship with yourself. This quiet shift in mindset has a profound impact on how you approach challenges and opportunities. Another thing to eliminate is the need to control everything. Trying to manage every detail of life can be exhausting and ultimately futile, as many things are simply beyond your control. By releasing the need to control, you open yourself to flow more easily with the natural course of events. You learn to trust the process and accept that not everything needs to be micromanaged. This sense of surrender brings greater peace and allows you to focus on what you can control, your own actions and responses. Eliminating perfectionism is another step toward freedom. Perfectionism creates a cycle of never feeling good enough, as nothing can ever meet the impossibly high standards you set for yourself. By letting go of the need for perfection, you allow yourself to take action, make mistakes, and grow. This shift leads to more creativity, productivity, and satisfaction, as you no longer wait for everything to be perfect before moving forward. Eliminate the fear of change. Change is inevitable, and resisting it only creates stress and stagnation. By embracing change and seeing it as an opportunity for growth, you open yourself up to new experiences and possibilities. Letting go of the fear of change allows you to move through life with greater flexibility and openness, knowing that every transition holds the potential for something new and better. By quietly eliminating these things from your life, you create space for what truly matters. You free yourself from the subtle influences that hold you back and step into a life that is more aligned with your values, your peace, and your potential. This process of letting go is not always easy, but it is one of the most powerful steps you can take toward living with intention and clarity. As you work through the process of eliminating the unnecessary elements from your life, you gain clarity on what deserves your time, energy, and attention. Now, there is a deeper wisdom to explore, one that Marcus Aurelius often emphasized: the power of silence. Silence isn't just about the absence of words. It's a deliberate choice, a reflection of inner strength and wisdom. In many situations, silence is more effective than any words you could speak. Knowing when to remain silent not only preserves your peace, but also protects your dignity and cultivates a deeper understanding of the world around you. Silence, when chosen wisely, is a tool for mastery over oneself and the chaos of external circumstances. One situation where silence holds immense power is in the face of anger. When someone is speaking from a place of anger, responding in kind only fuels the fire. But remaining silent can diffuse the tension. It allows the other person to exhaust their rage without giving them more fuel. Silence here is not passive. It is a deliberate act of maintaining control over yourself. It prevents escalation and allows for a more reasoned, thoughtful response later when the storm has passed. Silence in the face of anger demonstrates that you are not controlled by your emotions or by the emotions of others. Another situation where silence is valuable is during a misunderstanding. Often, when people are misunderstood, their instinct is to explain, defend, or justify themselves. But sometimes, explaining only complicates things further. Marcus Aurelius believed that not all misunderstandings require correction. There is strength in allowing others to hold their own interpretations without feeling the need to intervene. Silence in these moments conveys confidence in yourself and your actions, showing that you do not need others to fully understand or agree with you to know your truth. Silence is also powerful when faced with gossip or negative talk about others. Engaging in such conversations only spreads harm and often reflects poorly on your character. By remaining silent, you rise above the pettiness of gossip and avoid contributing to the negativity. Silence, in this case, protects your integrity and keeps you aligned with higher values. You create space for deeper, more meaningful interactions by refusing to engage in destructive dialogue. In moments of uncertainty, silence can be your ally. When you are unsure of the right course of action, speaking too quickly can lead to regret or missteps. Silence gives you time to reflect, to gather your thoughts, and to listen to your inner voice. It creates a pause in which wisdom can emerge. Rather than rushing into a decision or saying something you might later regret, silence provides the space for careful consideration. In this way, silence becomes a path to clarity. When faced with provocation, silence is a shield. Others may try to bait you into conflict, hoping to see you react emotionally. But by choosing silence, you demonstrate that you are not easily swayed or provoked. You maintain control over your emotions, refusing to be pulled into unnecessary confrontations. Silence in the face of provocation is a sign of maturity and emotional intelligence. It shows that you are not driven by the need to defend yourself at every turn, but are secure enough to let provocations pass without response. In discussions where others are speaking from ignorance, silence can be a powerful response. There are times when trying to correct someone's ignorance only deepens their resistance or hostility. Silence allows the conversation to end without further entrenching the other person in their misguided views. It also preserves your energy for more meaningful engagements, where your words will have a greater impact. By staying silent, you avoid the frustration that often comes from arguing with those who are not open to listening or learning. Silence is also essential in moments of deep listening. In conversations, particularly those that are emotionally charged, your silence allows others to feel heard and understood. When you are not focused on formulating a response, you can fully absorb what the other person is saying. This kind of listening, marked by silence, builds trust and strengthens relationships. It shows respect for the other person's perspective and fosters a deeper connection. When you are being praised, silence can be a way of maintaining humility. It is easy to become attached to compliments and praise, but this attachment can lead to seeking validation from others. By remaining silent when praised, you acknowledge the compliment without allowing it to inflate your ego. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that praise from others is fleeting and should not be the foundation of one's self-worth. Silence in these moments helps you stay grounded and focused on your true values, rather than becoming dependent on external validation. In situations where you are uncertain of others' intentions, silence can act as a protective barrier. Not every person or situation deserves your immediate trust or response. By remaining silent, you give yourself time to observe and understand the dynamics at play. Silence creates space for discernment, allowing you to gather information before making any commitments or sharing your thoughts. This silence is a form of self-preservation, ensuring that you do not reveal too much too soon or act before you fully understand the situation. When facing criticism, silence can be the most powerful response. Criticism, especially when it is unfair or unfounded, often invites a defensive reaction. But responding defensively can give the criticism more weight than it deserves. Silence, on the other hand, allows you to rise above the negativity. It shows that you are not defined by the opinions of others and that you are confident enough in yourself to not need to defend every aspect of your life. Silence in the face of criticism is an act of strength, showing that you are secure enough to let others' opinions wash over you without being swayed by them. Silence also serves as a way to maintain your personal power. Speaking too much, especially about your plans, thoughts, or feelings, can leave you vulnerable to the opinions and influence of others. By keeping certain things to yourself, you maintain control over your life and direction. Silence in this context is not about secrecy, but about protecting what is sacred and important to you. It allows you to move through the world with more intentionality and less interference from outside forces. In moments of overwhelming emotion, silence provides a space for processing. Whether it's grief, joy, anger, or confusion, words often fail to capture the depth of what you are feeling. Silence allows you to sit with your emotions, to experience them fully without needing to articulate them prematurely. This quiet reflection can bring greater clarity and understanding of your inner state. Rather than rushing to express how you feel, silence gives you the time to understand your emotions and respond in a more considered way. Silence can also be a way of protecting your mental energy. Engaging in too many conversations, especially ones that are trivial or draining, can leave you feeling depleted. By choosing silence, you conserve your energy for what truly matters. This doesn't mean withdrawing from the world, but rather being selective about where you invest your attention and focus. Silence in this way is a form of self-care, allowing you to recharge and stay focused on what is most important to you. In competitive environments, silence can be a strategic advantage. When others are vying for attention or trying to outshine one another, your silence sets you apart. It allows you to observe the dynamics at play and to act with greater precision when the time is right. Silence in these situations conveys confidence and strength, showing that you do not need to engage in the noise to prove your worth. It gives you the upper hand by allowing you to move with greater clarity and purpose. When others are rushing to make decisions, silence provides you with time to think. In a fast-paced world, the pressure to act quickly can lead to poor decisions. But by remaining silent and giving yourself the space to think, you can make more thoughtful and considered choices. This silence is not about indecision, but about taking the time you need to weigh your options and act from a place of clarity. It prevents you from being swept up in the urgency of the moment and helps you make decisions that are aligned with your long-term goals. In spiritual practice, silence is a way to connect with deeper truths. Whether through meditation, reflection, or simply being still, silence allows you to access the wisdom that resides within. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of turning inward, away from the distractions of the external world, to find peace and guidance. Silence is the gateway to this inner world, where you can connect with your higher self and gain insights that are not accessible through words alone. In social situations where there is pressure to conform, silence can be an act of rebellion. When others are speaking in ways that do not align with your values, remaining silent is a way of refusing to participate in the collective mindset. It is a quiet assertion of your independence and your refusal to be swept up in the crowd. This silence is not passive, but a deliberate choice to stand apart and remain true to yourself. Silence is also a way of maintaining your dignity in difficult situations. When faced with insults, disrespect, or unfair treatment, speaking out might feel like the right response, but often it only drags you deeper into the conflict. By remaining silent, you preserve your dignity and refuse to stoop to the level of those who seek to bring you down. This silence shows that you are above petty conflicts and that your self-respect is not dependent on how others treat you. In moments of deep thought or creativity, silence is essential. It allows ideas to form and thoughts to take shape without the interference of external noise. Many of history's greatest thinkers and creators, including Marcus Aurelius, valued silence as a tool for deep contemplation. In these moments, silence is not emptiness, but a space where the mind can wander freely and discover new insights. Silence is an act of self-awareness. It teaches you to listen to others, to the world, and to yourself. In silence, you learn to hear the subtle cues that are often missed in the noise of daily life. You become more attuned to your own needs, desires, and thoughts, as well as to the energy and intentions of those around you. Silence, in this sense, is a way of deepening your connection with yourself and the world. It allows you to move through life with greater mindfulness and presence, responding not out of habit or impulse, but from a place of true understanding. As we delve deeper into the power of silence, a crucial realization emerges. While restraint and inner control offer strength, Unchecked generosity and kindness can have the opposite effect. In the pursuit of being kind, we often neglect the importance of setting boundaries, protecting our own well-being, and maintaining balance. When kindness becomes excessive, it turns into self-sacrifice, leaving you drained, disrespected, and disconnected from your own needs. The Stoics believed in the virtue of kindness, but they also warned against overextending yourself in ways that diminish your sense of self. In this reflection, you will learn how too much kindness, when not tempered by wisdom and self-respect, can quietly ruin your life. The first way excessive kindness can be damaging is by allowing others to take advantage of you. When you consistently put the needs of others before your own, people may begin to see you as someone who will always be available to serve their needs, regardless of how it affects you. This kind of behavior encourages a dynamic where others feel entitled to your time, energy, and resources. Rather than appreciating your kindness, they start to expect it as a given. Over time, this leads to an unbalanced relationship where you give far more than you receive, leaving you feeling used and depleted. Another issue with excess kindness is that it often prevents you from asserting your own boundaries. When you're overly focused on being kind and accommodating, you may hesitate to say no, even when a situation calls for it. This reluctance to set limits can lead to burnout, as you continuously take on more than you can handle in an effort to please others. Without boundaries, your kindness becomes a burden, not only to yourself, but to those who depend on you, as they come to expect more than is reasonable. This lack of balance can cause frustration and resentment, even though your intentions were originally good. Excess kindness can also erode your self-esteem. When you prioritize the happiness of others over your own needs, you may start to believe that your worth is tied to how much you do for others. This mindset is dangerous because it places your value in the hands of others, making you dependent on their approval and appreciation. Over time, you may lose touch with your own desires and forget that you are worthy of care and consideration too. The Stoics taught that your worth comes from within, and basing it on how much you give to others can lead to a fragile sense of self. Another way that excessive kindness can ruin your life is by creating a sense of imbalance in your relationships. When one person is always giving and the other is always receiving, resentment inevitably builds. Even if you don't express it, there may come a time when you feel unappreciated or taken for granted. Relationships built on unequal dynamics are unsustainable and can lead to emotional distance or even collapse. The Stoic idea of fairness applies here. Relationships should be based on mutual respect and reciprocity, not on one person constantly sacrificing for the other. Excessive kindness can also lead to emotional exhaustion. Constantly attending to the needs of others without replenishing your own energy leaves you depleted. This kind of exhaustion doesn't just affect you physically, it can lead to emotional burnout, where you feel disconnected from yourself and from those you're trying to help. When you give too much of yourself, it can be difficult to find the time and space to recharge. The Stoics believed in the importance of self-care, understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you don't take care of yourself, your ability to continue helping others will inevitably diminish. Being excessively kind can also make you a target for manipulation. People who are looking to exploit others will often gravitate toward those who are overly kind, knowing that their generosity can be used to their advantage. When you're too eager to help or please, you may not see the warning signs of manipulation until it's too late. The Stoics emphasized the importance of wisdom and discernment in all interactions. Being kind doesn't mean being naive or allowing yourself to be taken advantage of. It means acting with compassion while maintaining a clear sense of self-awareness and boundary. Another danger of excessive kindness is that it can lead to self-neglect. When you are constantly focused on meeting the needs of others, it's easy to forget your own. You may start to ignore your own well-being, whether that's your physical health, emotional needs, or personal goals. Over time, this neglect takes a toll, leading to feelings of emptiness or dissatisfaction. Stoicism teaches the importance of balance in life, of giving to others while also nurturing your own well-being. When kindness comes at the expense of your own health or happiness, it stops being virtuous. Excessive kindness can also create a dependency in others. When people come to rely on your kindness to solve their problems or meet their needs, they may become dependent on you rather than learning to take responsibility for themselves. This kind of dynamic is not only harmful to you, but also to the person you're trying to help. Stoicism teaches the importance of self-reliance and independence. By always stepping in to help, you may inadvertently rob others of the opportunity to grow and learn how to manage their own lives. True kindness sometimes means stepping back and allowing others to face challenges on their own. When you are excessively kind, you may also find that your kindness is not always appreciated. In fact, it can sometimes lead to feelings of entitlement in others. When people receive your help or generosity repeatedly without earning it, they may start to expect it as a right rather than as a gift. This can lead to a lack of gratitude, where your kindness is taken for granted and no longer valued. Stoicism teaches that we should give freely without expecting anything in return, but it also warns against giving in ways that foster dependency or entitlement. Another issue with excess kindness is that it can prevent you from addressing your own needs and desires. When you are constantly focused on helping others, you may neglect your own personal growth or the pursuit of your own goals. This can lead to a sense of stagnation or frustration, as you realize that you've spent so much time caring for others that you've neglected your own path. Stoicism encourages you to live with purpose and intention, which means balancing your kindness toward others with a commitment to your own growth and fulfillment. Excess kindness can also lead to a loss of respect, both from others and from yourself. When you're always saying yes and never standing up for yourself, people may start to see you as someone who is easily pushed around. This can lead to a lack of respect, as others perceive your kindness as weakness. Over time, you may also start to lose respect for yourself, as you realize that you've been allowing others to take advantage of you. Stoicism teaches the importance of self-respect and standing firm in your values. Being kind doesn't mean being a pushover. It means knowing when to say no and standing up for yourself when necessary. When you are excessively kind, you may also find that your own needs and desires get buried beneath the expectations of others. You may become so focused on being helpful that you forget what you want or need for yourself. Over time, this can lead to feelings of resentment, as you realize that you've been sacrificing your own happiness for the sake of others. Stoicism teaches the importance of living in alignment with your own values and not allowing the expectations of others to dictate your actions. True kindness comes from a place of balance, where you are able to give to others without losing yourself in the process. Another consequence of excessive kindness is that it can lead to frustration. When you give too much, expecting that others will reciprocate or appreciate your efforts, you may find yourself feeling disappointed when they don't respond in kind. This frustration can build over time, leading to feelings of anger or resentment. Stoicism teaches the importance of giving without attachment to the outcome, but it also emphasizes the need for balance in all things. When kindness is given without boundaries or consideration for your own well-being, it can lead to feelings of frustration and disappointment. Being overly kind can also prevent you from being honest. When you're too focused on pleasing others or avoiding conflict, you may find yourself withholding your true feelings or opinions. This can lead to a lack of authenticity in your relationships as you prioritize kindness over honesty. Stoicism teaches the importance of truth and integrity in all interactions. While kindness is a virtue, it should never come at the expense of honesty. Being kind sometimes means having difficult conversations and being willing to speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Excess kindness can also lead to a lack of boundaries. When you're constantly trying to help others, you may find it difficult to set limits on what you're willing to do. This can lead to burnout, as you take on more than you can handle in an effort to be kind and accommodating. Stoicism teaches the importance of self-discipline and setting clear boundaries. By establishing limits on what you're willing to give, you protect your own well-being and ensure that your kindness doesn't lead to exhaustion or resentment. In some cases, excessive kindness can lead to feelings of guilt when you're unable to help everyone who asks for your assistance. This guilt can weigh heavily on you as you feel responsible for the well-being of others. Stoicism teaches the importance of accepting that you cannot control everything and that it's not your responsibility to fix every problem. By recognizing your own limitations, you free yourself from the burden of guilt and allow yourself to focus on what you can realistically do without overextending yourself. Excess kindness can also create a cycle of overcommitment. When you're constantly saying yes to others, you may find that your schedule becomes overloaded with obligations and responsibilities. This overcommitment can lead to stress and anxiety as you struggle to keep up with the demands of others while neglecting your own needs. Stoicism teaches the importance of moderation and balance in all areas of life. By learning to say no and setting boundaries, you prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed by the demands of excessive kindness. When you are overly kind, you may also find that others begin to rely on you to solve their problems, rather than taking responsibility for themselves. This dynamic can create a sense of dependency where people expect you to step in and fix things for them. Stoicism teaches the importance of self-reliance and encourages others to take responsibility for their own actions and decisions. By setting boundaries and encouraging others to solve their own problems, you help them grow and develop their own resilience rather than fostering dependency. Excess kindness can also lead to a lack of focus on your own priorities. When you're constantly attending to the needs of others, you may find that your own goals and dreams take a back seat. Over time, this can lead to feelings of frustration and unfulfillment as you realize that you've been putting your own life on hold for the sake of others. Stoicism teaches the importance of living with purpose and focusing on what truly matters. By prioritizing your own goals and setting limits on how much you give to others, you ensure that your kindness doesn't come at the expense of your own growth and fulfillment. While kindness is a virtue, it must be practiced with wisdom and balance. Excessive kindness, when not tempered by boundaries and self-respect, can quickly lead to burnout, frustration, and a loss of personal fulfillment. Stoicism teaches the importance of giving to others while also maintaining a strong sense of self and ensuring that your kindness does not come at the expense of your own well-being. By learning to set boundaries, say no, and prioritize your own needs, you can practice kindness in a way that is sustainable and fulfilling, both for yourself and for those you seek to help. After recognizing the dangers of excessive kindness, you can now focus on strengthening yourself, not just emotionally, but mentally as well. The Stoics believed that true power lies in the mind, and they developed techniques that not only nurture emotional resilience, but also sharpen intellectual abilities. Intelligence in Stoic philosophy goes far beyond mere knowledge. It's about cultivating wisdom, clarity, and the ability to make sound decisions, even in the most challenging circumstances. Increasing your intelligence isn't just about acquiring information, it's about refining your ability to think, reason, and perceive the world in a more insightful way. Let's dive into powerful Stoic techniques that, when practiced consistently, enhance both the sharpness of your mind and the depth of your understanding. One of the most profound ways to increase your intelligence is by regularly practicing reflection. The Stoics were big proponents of self-examination, often encouraging daily reflection on thoughts, actions, and outcomes. This habit of examining what you did right and what could have been done differently cultivates mental sharpness. It trains your mind to think critically about your decisions, improving your ability to assess situations with clarity. Over time, this reflective practice becomes a tool for intellectual growth, helping you identify patterns, refine your judgment, and make more informed choices. Another vital technique is embracing the art of asking the right questions. Intelligence isn't just about finding answers. It's about asking deep, probing questions that challenge assumptions and push the boundaries of understanding. The Stoics constantly questioned the nature of reality, human behavior, and ethics. By cultivating curiosity and questioning the world around you, you deepen your comprehension of complex subjects. This approach encourages intellectual humility, as it acknowledges that there is always more to learn, and it keeps your mind open to new ideas and perspectives. Emotional detachment is another powerful Stoic technique that sharpens intellectual clarity. Emotions, when unchecked, can cloud judgment and distort rational thinking. The Stoics emphasize the importance of separating emotions from reason, allowing you to assess situations objectively. By practicing emotional detachment, you learn to make decisions based on logic and facts, rather than being swayed by fleeting feelings. This ability to maintain a calm, rational mindset in the face of challenges enhances your decision-making process and strengthens your intellectual discipline. Consistently exposing yourself to diverse perspectives is another way to cultivate intelligence. The Stoics believed in learning from a wide range of sources and not limiting themselves to one worldview. By engaging with different schools of thought, reading widely, and listening to others with an open mind, you develop a more nuanced understanding of the world. This openness to new ideas prevents intellectual stagnation and helps you become a more flexible, adaptive thinker, able to see connections and patterns that others might miss. Practicing mindfulness and presence is another technique that sharpens the mind. The Stoics valued living in the present moment and avoiding distractions that pull you away from what is most important. By training yourself to be fully aware of your surroundings, thoughts, and actions, you develop a heightened sense of focus and concentration. This mindfulness prevents your mind from wandering and strengthens your ability to think deeply about the task at hand. Over time, this level of focus enhances your mental capacity and improves your ability to process information with greater depth and clarity. Learning to simplify complex ideas is another Stoic method that increases intelligence. The Stoics often emphasize the importance of breaking down complex thoughts into their most basic components. This process of simplification not only makes difficult concepts more understandable, but also trains your mind to see the essence of any situation. When you can distill complicated ideas into simple truths, you demonstrate a high level of intellectual mastery. This skill allows you to navigate challenges more efficiently and communicate your insights with greater clarity to others. Another essential technique is developing the habit of continuous learning. The Stoics believed that learning is a lifelong process, and they were always seeking to expand their knowledge and understanding. By adopting this mindset, you remain intellectually curious and avoid the trap of thinking that you know everything. Continuous learning, whether through reading, engaging in discussions, or trying new experiences, keeps your mind sharp and adaptable. It pushes you to grow intellectually and challenges you to evolve beyond your current limitations. Critical thinking is also central to Stoic philosophy. Rather than accepting information at face value, the Stoics encouraged questioning and analyzing everything. This skepticism is not cynical, but rather a method of ensuring that your beliefs and actions are grounded in truth and reason. Developing critical thinking skills allows you to see through superficial arguments, identify logical fallacies, and make decisions based on sound reasoning. Over time, this approach strengthens your mental acuity and enhances your ability to navigate complex situations with confidence. The Stoics also taught the importance of resilience in intellectual growth. Setbacks and challenges are inevitable, but how you respond to them determines your ability to grow. By viewing obstacles as opportunities for learning rather than as failures, you cultivate a mindset of growth. This resilience enhances your problem-solving skills as you become more adept at finding creative solutions to difficult situations. The ability to persist in the face of adversity strengthens not only your emotional resilience, but also your intellectual flexibility. Another key Stoic technique is the practice of gratitude. While gratitude may seem more emotional than intellectual, it plays a crucial role in shaping your mindset. When you focus on what you have rather than what you lack, you cultivate a positive mental framework that enhances your ability to think clearly and creatively. Gratitude helps you maintain perspective, reducing stress and anxiety, which in turn allows you to think more effectively. It also helps you appreciate the learning opportunities in every situation, fostering a mindset of growth and intellectual development. Engaging in philosophical debates and discussions is another way to increase intelligence. The Stoics believed in the value of dialogue and often engaged in deep discussions with others to test their ideas and refine their thinking. By participating in meaningful conversations, you expose yourself to new perspectives and challenge your own beliefs. This practice not only sharpens your reasoning skills, but also encourages intellectual humility as you learn to see the strengths and weaknesses in your own arguments. Another powerful Stoic technique is practicing delayed gratification. In a world that often values instant results, the ability to delay gratification is a sign of intellectual maturity. The Stoics believed in the importance of patience and understanding that true growth takes time. By learning to resist the urge for immediate rewards, you train your mind to think long-term and make decisions that lead to greater outcomes in the future. This discipline strengthens your ability to stay focused on your goals and enhances your capacity for strategic thinking. The ability to control your reactions to external events is another vital aspect of Stoic intelligence. The Stoics taught that while you cannot control what happens to you, you can control how you respond. By mastering your reactions, you maintain mental clarity even in the face of difficult situations. This control allows you to assess challenges with a calm, rational mind, rather than reacting impulsively. Over time, this practice strengthens your emotional and intellectual resilience, allowing you to navigate life's challenges with greater wisdom. Developing empathy is another technique that increases intelligence. The Stoics believed in understanding the perspectives of others and seeing the world through their eyes. This ability to empathize enhances your emotional intelligence and allows you to approach problems with greater insight. By considering the feelings and experiences of others, you develop a more comprehensive understanding of human behavior, which in turn improves your ability to interact effectively with others and navigate social dynamics. The practice of journaling, which many Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, engaged in, is another technique that fosters intellectual growth. Writing down your thoughts, reflections, and observations helps you process information more deeply. It allows you to clarify your ideas, track your progress, and identify areas for improvement. Journaling encourages introspection, helping you to connect with your inner self and refine your thinking. This practice not only strengthens your intellectual abilities, but also promotes emotional balance and self-awareness. Another technique to enhance intelligence is learning to embrace uncertainty. The Stoics understood that life is unpredictable, and rather than fearing the unknown, they embraced it as part of the human experience. By learning to be comfortable with uncertainty, you train your mind to adapt and think flexibly. This adaptability is a key component of intelligence, as it allows you to navigate complex situations without being paralyzed by fear or indecision. Embracing uncertainty helps you remain open to new ideas and possibilities, increasing your capacity for creative problem-solving. Another Stoic principle that increases intelligence is the focus on the present moment. When you concentrate on the here and now, you engage your mind fully with the task at hand. The Stoics believed that worrying about the past or the future distracted you from living effectively in the present. By honing your focus on the present, you improve your ability to think clearly, act decisively, and absorb information more deeply. This mental clarity allows you to make better decisions and enhances your ability to learn from each moment. Developing a habit of detachment from outcomes is another way to increase intelligence. The Stoics taught that while you should strive for excellence, you must detach yourself from the results. By focusing on the process rather than the outcome, you free yourself from the anxiety of success or failure. This detachment allows you to think more clearly and take calculated risks without the fear of negative consequences. Over time, this practice strengthens your ability to pursue challenging goals with a calm and focused mind, leading to greater intellectual growth. The practice of simplifying your life also plays a role in increasing intelligence. The Stoics believed in the value of simplicity, both in thought and in daily living. By eliminating distractions and unnecessary complexity, you create more mental space for reflection and deep thinking. A simpler life allows you to focus on what truly matters and to engage more fully with your intellectual pursuits. This focus on simplicity enhances your ability to think critically, solve problems, and make meaningful progress in your personal and intellectual growth. Another powerful Stoic technique for increasing intelligence is learning from adversity. The Stoics believed that challenges and hardships were opportunities for growth. By embracing adversity and seeing it as a teacher, you cultivate resilience and mental strength. Each difficult experience becomes a lesson that sharpens your problem-solving skills and deepens your understanding of life. This mindset of learning from adversity helps you approach challenges with curiosity rather than fear, turning obstacles into opportunities for intellectual and emotional growth. Practicing gratitude for the challenges you face is another Stoic technique that enhances intelligence. The Stoics believed that every difficulty was an opportunity for learning and growth. By cultivating gratitude for these experiences, you shift your mindset from one of resistance to one of acceptance and growth. This gratitude allows you to approach problems with a more open and creative mind, increasing your ability to find solutions and navigate complex situations with wisdom. The Stoic techniques for increasing intelligence go far beyond acquiring knowledge. They are about cultivating wisdom, emotional resilience, and the ability to navigate life with clarity and purpose. By embracing reflection, emotional detachment, continuous learning, and the other techniques discussed here, you not only sharpen your mind, but also deepen your understanding of yourself and the world around you. These practices lead to greater intellectual and personal growth, empowering you to live a life of purpose and insight. As we explore the intellectual strength cultivated through Stoicism, it's important to acknowledge that intelligence alone is not enough to navigate life's challenges. One of the most difficult situations many face is handling disrespect. Disrespect, whether subtle or direct, can trigger strong emotional reactions, but Stoicism offers profound guidance on how to respond with dignity, calm, and wisdom. Disrespect doesn't have to shake your inner peace or undermine your sense of self-worth. With the right mindset, rooted in Stoic philosophy, you can master the art of handling disrespect, preserving both your integrity and peace of mind. These lessons are not only powerful, but transformative, offering you the tools to rise above negativity and maintain your strength no matter what. The first lesson in handling disrespect is understanding that others' actions are a reflection of their own character, not yours. Stoicism teaches that what others say or do is outside your control, but how you respond is entirely within your power. When someone disrespects you, it often reveals more about their state of mind or personal struggles than about your worth. By separating their actions from your self-perception, you can avoid taking disrespect personally and remain grounded in your own values. Another important aspect of handling disrespect is recognizing the power of silence. When someone disrespects you, the instinct might be to retaliate or defend yourself. But Stoicism teaches that silence can be a more powerful response. By not reacting to provocations, you demonstrate that their words or actions do not have power over you. Silence, in this case, becomes an act of strength, showing that you are in control of your emotions and do not need to lower yourself to their level. Practicing emotional detachment is another key Stoic principle in handling disrespect. When you detach from the need for validation or approval from others, their disrespect loses its sting. You become less vulnerable to their attempts to hurt you because your sense of self is no longer tied to external opinions. This emotional detachment allows you to observe the situation from a place of calm rather than reacting impulsively. It helps you stay focused on what truly matters, your own peace of mind and integrity. Stoicism also teaches the importance of choosing your battles wisely. Not every instance of disrespect requires a response. Sometimes walking away is the most powerful action you can take. By refusing to engage in unnecessary conflicts, you conserve your energy for situations that truly matter. This selective engagement prevents you from being dragged into petty disputes and allows you to rise above the negativity. It's an act of self-respect, showing that you won't waste your time on those who don't value you. Maintaining perspective is another valuable Stoic tool for handling disrespect. When you feel disrespected, it's easy to become consumed by the insult and lose sight of the bigger picture. But Stoicism encourages you to zoom out and view the situation in the context of your entire life. Is this moment really as significant as it feels right now? Will it matter in a week, a month, or a year? Often, when you put things in perspective, the disrespect loses its power to affect you deeply. You regain your emotional balance and are able to respond, or not respond, from a place of wisdom. Another critical Stoic lesson is not allowing anger to dictate your response. Disrespect often triggers anger, but the Stoics warned against letting this emotion control you. Anger clouds judgment and leads to actions you may later regret. Instead of reacting out of anger, Stoicism teaches you to pause and breathe. This moment of reflection allows you to choose a response that aligns with your values, rather than one driven by temporary emotions. It's about mastering your reactions so that you stay true to your principles, even in the face of disrespect. Humility is another Stoic trait that can help in dealing with disrespect. Sometimes disrespect is rooted in misunderstanding or a clash of perspectives. By approaching the situation with humility, you open the door to learning rather than reacting defensively. You might realize that the other person's disrespect stems from their own insecurities or fears, and this understanding allows you to respond with compassion rather than hostility. Humility also keeps you from inflating the situation beyond its true significance, helping you maintain emotional balance. Another Stoic practice is cultivating a mindset of forgiveness. Disrespect often stems from ignorance or personal pain. While this doesn't excuse the behavior, it can help you approach the situation with empathy. Forgiveness, from a Stoic perspective, isn't about excusing the behavior, but about freeing yourself from the emotional burden of holding on to resentment. When you forgive, you release the anger and bitterness that can linger long after the disrespectful moment has passed. This act of letting go preserves your peace and prevents the negative energy from affecting your well-being. A key Stoic strategy is focusing on your own actions and character rather than on others' behavior. The Stoics believed that you cannot control how others treat you, but you can control how you live your life. By concentrating on being the best version of yourself, you rise above the disrespect. This approach helps you maintain a sense of self-respect and dignity, regardless of how others behave. Your worth is not determined by their actions, but by how you conduct yourself, even in difficult situations. Another way to handle disrespect is by recognizing that people often project their own issues onto others. When someone disrespects you, it may be a reflection of their own inner turmoil, frustrations, or insecurities. By understanding this, you can avoid internalizing their negativity. Instead, you see their actions for what they are, a projection of their own struggles, not a statement about your worth. This awareness helps you maintain emotional distance and prevents their disrespect from affecting your self-esteem. When faced with disrespect, another Stoic lesson is to view it as an opportunity for personal growth. Every difficult interaction can teach you something about yourself, your triggers, your patience, your ability to stay composed. Instead of seeing disrespect as purely negative, Stoicism encourages you to use it as a chance to strengthen your emotional resilience. Each instance of disrespect becomes a practice ground for developing greater self-control and wisdom. Over time, you become less reactive and more grounded in your own values, regardless of how others treat you. Stoicism also teaches that handling disrespect requires a balance of firmness and compassion. While it's important not to tolerate behavior that crosses your boundaries, it's equally important to approach situations with a calm and compassionate heart. By staying firm in your values, but gentle in your responses, you maintain both your self-respect and your empathy for others. This balanced approach allows you to handle disrespect with grace, showing that strength and kindness can coexist. Another Stoic principle is focusing on what you can learn from the situation. Disrespect can reveal important insights about your relationships, your boundaries, and your own emotional triggers. By reflecting on the experience, you gain a deeper understanding of yourself and how you interact with the world. This self-awareness empowers you to handle future instances of disrespect with more wisdom and grace. Instead of seeing the situation as purely negative, you turn it into an opportunity for growth and learning. Disrespect also provides an opportunity to practice patience, another core Stoic virtue. When someone disrespects you, it's easy to react impulsively, but Stoicism teaches the value of patience in such moments. By taking a step back and allowing yourself time to process the situation, you prevent yourself from reacting in a way that you might later regret. This patience allows you to respond thoughtfully, with a clear mind, rather than being swept up in the heat of the moment. Over time, this practice strengthens your ability to remain calm under pressure. Maintaining your integrity in the face of disrespect is another key lesson from Stoicism. Disrespect can tempt you to lower your standards or engage in behaviors that don't align with your values. But the Stoics emphasized the importance of staying true to your principles, no matter the external circumstances. By holding on to your integrity, you show that your actions are guided by your own sense of right and wrong, not by the disrespectful behavior of others. This commitment to integrity builds inner strength and resilience, allowing you to navigate difficult situations with grace and confidence. Another Stoic lesson is recognizing that disrespect doesn't define you. When someone treats you poorly, it's easy to feel diminished or devalued. But Stoicism teaches that your worth is not determined by external validation or others' opinions. You have intrinsic value, regardless of how others treat you. By internalizing this belief, you protect yourself from the emotional harm that disrespect can cause. Your sense of self remains intact, rooted in your own values and principles, rather than being swayed by the behavior of others. Disrespect can also serve as a reminder of the impermanence of external opinions. Stoicism teaches that the opinions of others are fleeting and often change with time. What matters today may be forgotten tomorrow. By recognizing the transitory nature of disrespect, you can avoid giving it too much weight in your life. Instead, you focus on what is lasting, your own sense of self and the values you live by. This perspective helps you maintain emotional equilibrium, even in the face of hurtful words or actions. Another Stoic approach to handling disrespect is practicing non-attachment to praise or criticism. The Stoics believed that both praise and criticism are external judgments that do not reflect your true worth. By not becoming attached to either, you maintain emotional stability. When someone disrespects you, it's important to remember that their opinion is just that, an opinion. It does not define who you are. This detachment allows you to remain centered, regardless of whether others approve or disapprove of you. Stoicism teaches the importance of focusing on your inner peace rather than on external circumstances. When you prioritize your peace of mind, disrespect loses its ability to disturb you. You realize that no matter how others behave, you have the power to choose your own response. This inner peace is cultivated through self-discipline, emotional control, and a commitment to living in alignment with your values. By focusing on maintaining your own sense of calm and balance, you become less affected by the chaos or negativity of others. Stoicism offers a powerful framework for handling disrespect with wisdom, strength, and grace. By focusing on what you can control, maintaining your integrity, and practicing emotional detachment, you rise above the negativity of others. These lessons help you stay grounded in your own worth, regardless of how others treat you, and enable you to navigate even the most difficult situations with dignity and composure. Having explored the Stoic techniques for handling disrespect, it's essential to take the next step and address one of life's most draining and challenging realities: dealing with toxic people. These individuals can create chaos, sap your energy, and undermine your peace. Yet, Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics offered powerful insights into how to protect yourself from such influences without losing your own integrity. Dealing with toxic people doesn't require you to meet them with hostility or frustration. Instead, Stoicism teaches you to approach these interactions with wisdom, self-control, and a deep sense of inner calm. These strategies not only shield you from the harm toxic people can cause, but also help you maintain your emotional and mental strength in the process. The first key to dealing with toxic people is accepting that you cannot change them. Marcus Aurelius often emphasized the importance of recognizing what is within your control and what is not. Toxic people often have deeply ingrained behaviors shaped by their own unresolved issues, insecurities, or pain. No matter how much you might want to help or fix them, it's important to accept that their actions are outside of your control. By releasing the need to change them, you free yourself from frustration and can focus on managing your own responses to their behavior. Another important technique is setting clear boundaries. Toxic people often push limits, testing how much they can get away with. By establishing firm boundaries, you protect your mental and emotional well-being. Boundaries are not about shutting people out, but about creating a safe space where you can interact without being overwhelmed by negativity. Marcus Aurelius believed in self-discipline, and this applies to how you allow others to treat you. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, showing that you value your peace and won't allow others to compromise it. It's also crucial to limit your exposure to toxic people whenever possible. The Stoics believed that you become like the people you surround yourself with, so if toxic individuals dominate your environment, their negativity can seep into your thoughts and actions. Whenever you can, choose to spend your time with people who uplift and support you. This doesn't mean cutting people off abruptly, but it does mean being mindful of how much time and energy you invest in toxic relationships. Distance, when used wisely, can be a powerful tool for preserving your well-being. Practicing emotional detachment is another key strategy. Toxic people often thrive on eliciting strong emotional reactions from others. By remaining emotionally detached, you deprive them of the satisfaction of getting under your skin. This doesn't mean being cold or indifferent, but rather maintaining control over your own emotions. Marcus Aurelius taught that no one has the power to disturb your peace unless you give them that power. Detachment allows you to observe their behavior without becoming entangled in their emotional turmoil. Another smart way to handle toxic people is to focus on your own growth and self-improvement. The Stoics believed that the best way to counter negativity is to strengthen yourself from within. When you are grounded in your values, confident in your abilities, and focused on your own path, toxic people have less impact on you. By focusing on your personal growth, you create a protective shield around yourself. The more you develop your inner strength, the less room there is for toxic people to influence you. It's also important to practice patience. Toxic people often act out of their own pain or confusion, and while this doesn't excuse their behavior, understanding their struggles can help you approach them with greater calm. Marcus Aurelius believed in responding to others with compassion, even when they act poorly. Patience allows you to interact with toxic people without being drawn into their chaos. It helps you maintain your composure and prevent their negativity from triggering your own. Another Stoic approach is to avoid taking toxic behavior personally. Toxic people may direct their negativity toward you, but it's often a reflection of their own inner turmoil. Marcus Aurelius taught that other people's actions say more about them than about you. By recognizing that their behavior is not a reflection of your worth, you can protect your self-esteem and prevent their negativity from affecting how you see yourself. This perspective helps you maintain a sense of detachment and protects you from the emotional harm toxic people can cause. Learning to say no is another crucial skill in dealing with toxic individuals. Toxic people often try to manipulate or guilt others into doing what they want. Being able to firmly and calmly say no without feeling the need to justify or explain yourself is a powerful way to protect your boundaries. Marcus Aurelius emphasized the importance of acting in accordance with your own principles, not bending to the will of others. By learning to say no, you assert your autonomy and prevent toxic people from taking advantage of your kindness or generosity. Another strategy is to minimize conflict with toxic people. Engaging in arguments or confrontations with them often leads nowhere, as they may thrive on drama or simply refuse to see reason. Instead of getting drawn into conflicts, Marcus Aurelius would advise staying calm and redirecting your energy toward more constructive pursuits. By not engaging in futile battles, you conserve your energy for what truly matters. This approach also reinforces your emotional control as you choose peace over conflict. Practicing forgiveness, both for yourself and for toxic people, is another powerful Stoic tool. Forgiveness doesn't mean accepting poor behavior or allowing toxic people to continue hurting you. Instead, it's about freeing yourself from the emotional burden of holding on to anger or resentment. Marcus Aurelius believed that clinging to bitterness only harms you. By forgiving toxic people, not for their sake, but for your own, you release the hold they have over your emotions and reclaim your peace. One of the most powerful ways to deal with toxic people is by remaining true to your own character. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of living in alignment with your values, regardless of how others behave. Toxic people may try to pull you into negativity or provoke reactions, but by staying grounded in your principles, you rise above their influence. You don't have to respond to disrespect with disrespect or meet negativity with negativity. Instead, you can choose to act with integrity, kindness, and strength, no matter how others treat you. By applying these Stoic strategies, you protect yourself from the harmful effects of toxic people while maintaining your own inner peace. These approaches allow you to navigate difficult relationships with wisdom and grace, ensuring that you remain in control of your emotional and mental well-being. Toxic people may continue to exist in your life, but they no longer have the power to disrupt your happiness or sense of self. Having gained insight into handling toxic people with Stoic wisdom, the next challenge we face is often internal, the habit of overthinking. Overthinking can be as disruptive as any external conflict, causing unnecessary stress, indecision, and even self-doubt. Stoicism provides powerful tools to break free from the cycle of overthinking, helping you cultivate a mind that is clear, calm, and focused. It's about learning to control your thoughts instead of letting them control you. This approach not only leads to better decisions, but also restores a sense of peace and confidence in your ability to navigate life without being overwhelmed by endless mental chatter. The first way to stop overthinking is by grounding yourself in the present moment. Overthinking often stems from worrying about the future or dwelling on the past, neither of which you can control. The Stoics believed that the present moment is all we truly have, and by focusing on what is happening right now, you can quiet the mind. When you stop projecting your thoughts into the future or obsessing over what has already happened, you regain control over your mental energy and reduce the anxiety that comes from overthinking. Another Stoic method for overcoming overthinking is by reminding yourself that most worries are exaggerated in your mind. The Stoics taught that many of the fears and anxieties we experience are not based on reality, but are distortions created by our thoughts. By recognizing when your mind is blowing things out of proportion, you can bring yourself back to a more grounded perspective. Ask yourself, is this really as bad as I'm making it out to be? Often, this simple question can diffuse the intensity of overthinking and help you see the situation more clearly. Stoicism also emphasizes the importance of focusing on what you can control. Overthinking often happens when you try to solve problems or predict outcomes that are beyond your control. This creates frustration and stress because you're mentally wrestling with things that you have no power over. By redirecting your focus to what you can control, your actions, responses, and decisions, you free yourself from the endless loop of overthinking. This shift in focus not only calms the mind, but also empowers you to take meaningful action in the areas where you can actually make a difference. Another way to combat overthinking is by embracing the concept of letting go. The Stoics understood that life is full of uncertainties and uncontrollable events, and trying to force solutions or outcomes can lead to mental exhaustion. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, but accepting that not everything is within your control. This acceptance brings peace as you stop resisting the natural flow of life and allow events to unfold without obsessively trying to control them. Letting go gives you mental space to focus on what truly matters, rather than becoming trapped in endless thought cycles. A key Stoic principle that helps stop overthinking is practicing simplicity in your thoughts. The Stoics believed in cutting through the noise and getting to the heart of the matter. Overthinking often involves overcomplicating situations by considering too many what-ifs or unnecessary details. By simplifying your thought process and focusing only on the essential, you reduce the mental clutter that fuels overthinking. This approach helps you see things more clearly and make decisions with greater ease and confidence. Another technique is to practice regular self-reflection. The Stoics often engaged in daily reflection to review their thoughts, actions, and decisions. By reflecting on your day, you gain insight into the patterns of your overthinking and can begin to identify the triggers that lead to it. Self-reflection allows you to observe your thoughts from a distance, helping you detach from them and see them more objectively. This practice creates awareness, enabling you to catch yourself when you start to overthink and redirect your focus to more productive thinking. The Stoic approach to reducing overthinking also involves cultivating gratitude. When you focus on what you are thankful for, your mind shifts away from unnecessary worries and anxieties. Gratitude reminds you of the good in your life, helping to silence the mental noise of what's lacking or what could go wrong. This shift in focus creates a sense of contentment and calm, making it harder for overthinking to take hold. By regularly practicing gratitude, you train your mind to dwell on positive thoughts rather than spiraling into endless what-ifs and fears. Stoicism also teaches the power of decisive action. One of the main reasons for overthinking is indecision. When faced with too many options or uncertainties, the mind can become paralyzed, cycling through different scenarios without ever making a choice. The Stoics believed that taking action, even if it's not perfect, is better than being stuck in indecision. By committing to a course of action, you stop the cycle of overthinking and move forward. This decisive action helps break the mental loop and creates momentum, reducing the anxiety that comes from overanalyzing every detail. Another effective way to stop overthinking is to remind yourself of the impermanence of everything. The Stoics often reflected on the transient nature of life, understanding that nothing lasts forever, including your current problems or worries. When you remind yourself that everything is temporary, you put your thoughts into perspective. What seems overwhelming in the moment often loses its power when viewed through the lens of time. This awareness helps you stop dwelling on problems that, in the grand scheme of things, are fleeting and will eventually pass. Practicing mental discipline is another Stoic strategy to combat overthinking. The Stoics believed in training the mind to focus on what's important and to avoid getting lost in distractions. Overthinking is often a result of an undisciplined mind that jumps from one thought to another without control. By practicing mental discipline through meditation, mindfulness, or simply setting clear intentions for your thoughts, you can train your mind to stay focused and calm. This discipline helps you avoid getting caught up in unnecessary mental chatter and allows you to think more clearly and effectively. Another technique is to remind yourself that overthinking rarely leads to better outcomes. The Stoics were practical philosophers who believed in action over endless rumination. Overthinking often creates the illusion that by thinking more, you'll arrive at the perfect solution. But in reality, excessive thinking often leads to confusion, not clarity. By reminding yourself that overthinking is unproductive, you can consciously choose to stop the mental spiral and take action instead. This realization frees you from the need to constantly analyze and reanalyze situations. Stoicism also teaches the importance of embracing uncertainty. Overthinking often arises from a desire for certainty, to know exactly how things will turn out before making a decision. But life is inherently uncertain, and the Stoics understood that trying to predict every outcome is not only impossible, but also counterproductive. By accepting uncertainty as a natural part of life, you stop trying to control the uncontrollable and free your mind from the burden of overthinking. This acceptance allows you to move forward with confidence, even when the future is unclear. Another powerful way to stop overthinking is to focus on solutions, not problems. Overthinking often occurs when you dwell on the problem without moving toward a solution. The Stoics believed in practical wisdom, applying your knowledge to solve problems rather than just contemplating them. By shifting your focus from what's wrong to what you can do about it, you engage your mind in constructive thinking. This solution-oriented mindset prevents you from getting stuck in the cycle of overthinking and helps you take proactive steps toward resolving the issue. Recognizing the limits of your knowledge is another Stoic principle that can help you stop overthinking. The Stoics were humble in their understanding that they didn't know everything, and they were comfortable with that uncertainty. Overthinking often stems from a desire to know all the answers before making a decision. By accepting that you will never have all the information and that it's okay not to know everything, you free yourself from the pressure to overanalyze. This humility allows you to make decisions based on the best information you have, without getting stuck in endless speculation. Another Stoic technique is to focus on action rather than perfection. Overthinking is often driven by a fear of making mistakes or not getting things right. The Stoics taught that striving for perfection is an illusion, as no one can achieve flawless outcomes all the time. By focusing on taking meaningful action, even if it's not perfect, you reduce the mental pressure that fuels overthinking. This mindset shift allows you to move forward without being paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice. Stoicism also encourages you to practice acceptance of outcomes. Overthinking is often tied to a desire to control outcomes and ensure that things turn out exactly as planned. But the Stoics understood that once you've taken action, the outcome is no longer in your hands. By accepting whatever results from your actions, you free yourself from the need to overthink and worry about the future. This acceptance brings peace, as you understand that you've done your part and can now let go of the need to control what happens next. A valuable Stoic lesson for overcoming overthinking is recognizing that thoughts are just thoughts. They do not have power unless you give it to them. The Stoics believed in observing their thoughts without becoming attached to them. By learning to separate yourself from your thoughts, you can prevent them from dominating your mind. When you notice yourself starting to overthink, you can step back and simply observe the thoughts without engaging with them. This detachment allows you to let go of unnecessary mental clutter and focus on what truly matters. Another important technique is practicing gratitude for the present moment. Overthinking often pulls you out of the present and into hypothetical scenarios about the future. By grounding yourself in gratitude for what is happening right now, you bring your mind back to the present. This shift in focus helps stop the mental cycle of overthinking and allows you to appreciate the here and now. Gratitude creates a sense of peace and contentment, making it harder for overthinking to take hold. Stoicism also teaches the power of simplifying your life. Overthinking often arises when life feels overwhelming and full of complexity. By simplifying your environment, your commitments, and your thought processes, you create space for mental clarity. The Stoics believed in living a simple, focused life, free from distractions and unnecessary worries. By embracing simplicity, you reduce the mental load that contributes to overthinking and create a more peaceful, focused mind. Another way to stop overthinking is by embracing the concept of flow. The Stoics believed in being fully engaged in whatever you are doing at the moment, without letting your mind wander to other concerns. When you immerse yourself in the present activity, whether it's work, a hobby, or a conversation, you prevent your mind from overanalyzing and worrying about other things. This state of flow allows you to be more productive and enjoy life more fully, without being weighed down by unnecessary mental chatter. Stoicism teaches the importance of practicing self-compassion. Overthinking often comes from a place of self-criticism or fear of failure. By practicing self-compassion, you remind yourself that it's okay to make mistakes and that you don't need to have all the answers. This gentle approach to yourself reduces the pressure to overthink and helps you move forward with more ease and confidence. When you treat yourself with kindness and understanding, you free your mind from the harsh judgments that fuel overthinking. The Stoic techniques for stopping overthinking provide powerful tools for cultivating mental clarity, focus, and peace. By practicing mindfulness, accepting uncertainty, simplifying your thoughts, and focusing on action, you can break free from the cycle of overthinking and live with greater confidence and calm. These practices not only reduce mental clutter, but also empower you to make decisions with clarity and move forward in life without being weighed down by endless rumination. As we've explored throughout this journey, true freedom comes from within. When you stop living for others, you unlock the power to live a life that aligns with your own values, not dictated by external expectations. Each Stoic principle we've discussed, from detaching from the need to explain yourself, to releasing the fear of being misunderstood, to embracing solitude, reminds us that freedom is about mastering our inner world. By rejecting societal pressures, focusing on what you can control, and living with intention, you reclaim your peace, strength, and autonomy. This path isn't about isolating yourself, but about finding a deeper connection with who you are, without being weighed down by the opinions or judgments of others. Stoicism empowers you to live authentically, embracing your true nature without the constant chase for approval or validation. It's time to stop seeking justice in an unjust world, to practice silent dissent when needed, and to let go of the need for praise. Now, it's your turn. What resonates with you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your insights could inspire someone else on their journey toward true freedom. And if you're ready for more Stoic wisdom and practical strategies for living with purpose and clarity, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. This is just the beginning of your path to a freer, more authentic life. Let's keep growing together.